Moorhead, Mississippi. It's time for MAC-JC football action, where the Pearl River Wildcats end the regular season against the Trojans here at Mississippi Delta. Beautiful day up here in the Delta with a slight breeze, cool temperatures, exactly what you'd love to, type of weather you'd like to sit at a football game to enjoy. The Wildcats and Trojans ending the season today, emphatically for both teams. Neither team has playoff plans now as the seeds have been set in both the North and South divisions. The Wildcats come out in their all-white uniforms from head to toe. The Trojans will be in their red tops with gray pants. And as we welcome color analyst Captain D. David Sutton, Mike's side. David, if you had to, looking back at the season, although the playoffs will begin next week, if you had to make a list of overachievers this season, with all due respect, the Trojans would have to be very high on that list. The offense showed up for the Trojans this year and very competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. They started out the season with 3 straight losses, and they weren't close football games, and it just looked like it was going to be another prototypical Delta season. Just being quite frank, over the last 5+ years, basically their win total has either been a 0 or a 1, essentially. I mean, that's been it. But they are hoping to use this, especially the finish to the season, as a turnaround, Kelly. I mean, they were actually still alive in the playoffs going into last week's action. And for them, obviously this a non-division game for them. So basically they made it to the last week of their division season, and they still had a chance at the number 2 slot in the North, end up at 3-3 in the division. And remember, Kelly, in the North, you essentially have 2 people that are locked into the playoff spots. You have 2 of the top 5 teams in the country, not in the state, in the country in your division. It's going to be hard to get one of those 2 spots, and to come out 3-3 with the likes of East Mississippi and Northwest in your division is pretty good. And a win today for the Trojans would mean they win 4 of their final 6, have their highest win total in nearly a decade. And really what they hope is kind of a turning point in their program, and obviously steering things in the future for some brighter days ahead.
The Pearl River Wildcats have won the toss and have deferred their choice to the second half. You talked about the seeds, and they've already been locked in for the first round of the playoffs, which will be next Saturday. Northwest, the number 2 seed from the North, will travel to Ellisville to take on Jones College. And then Co-Lin from the South will travel to the number 1 team in the North and the number 1 team in the country, East Mississippi. Other games that were played on Thursday night, including Jones defeating East Central, 45 for Jones, 20 for East Central. The Bobcats ended the season 8-1, 6-0 in division play. East Central had some good games, but finished 4-5 overall, 3-3 in the South Division. It was East Mississippi 26, Northeast 7. With that, East Mississippi runs the table, 9-0 overall, 6-0 in the North. Northeast finished 1-8 overall, 1-5 in the North Division. Northwest 34, Itawamba 7. So Northwest a winner, locking down that number 2 seed. Northwest finishes 8-1, 5-1 in division play. Itawamba finishes 5-4 overall, 3 wins, 3 losses in league play. And the only other game on Thursday night saw Holmes beating Coahoma. It was Holmes 27, Coahoma 14. Holmes finished 5-4 on the overall ledger, 3-3 in region play. Coahoma 0 wins in the division and 0 wins for the season. Other games on the schedule today include Co-Lin traveling to Southwest. Co-Lin has already locked up the number 2 seed in the South. Co-Lin 5-3, 4-1 overall. Southwest ready to get this season over with, 1-7, 0-5 in the South. And Hines playing at Gulf Coast in a league game that, as it turns out, means nothing. Hines traveling to Gulf Coast. The Bulldogs rank 15th in the country, Captain D, and will be watching the playoff games on TV or listening next week. The Bulldogs 15th in the country, but will not be going to the playoffs.
How tough of a division are you in? Where not only you're not going to, you're eliminated before the last week of the season. That's how tough the South Division was this year, and you're right. Gulf Coast could end up right around the top 10 teams in the country and not even make the state tournament in their own playoffs.
Ready to get this game underway. Will Lang kicks it to the far side of the field. A fair catch signaled for it about the 29-yard line. Xavier Coleman, the freshman tight end, is the man calling for the fair catch there. So the Trojans will begin 1st and 10, working left to right or toward Highway 3 if you're coming into Moorhead off of the 49 West North, which can sometimes be a little bit confusing when you get a choice between 49 West, 49 East, and then going north or south. So 1st and 10 for the Trojans as the Trojans come up to the football, some of them wearing pink socks. Of course, this is the month of October, indicating their support for the fight against breast cancer. 1st and 10, they are led to the line by Tyreek McAfee, the sophomore quarterback. McAfee wants to throw toward the sideline, has a man wide open at the 40-yard line. That's Raheem Moore, who hauls it in. The sophomore wideout gets out to about the 42-yard line, a gain of about 14. And the Trojans quickly on track offensively with a big gain and a chain mover on 1st down.
Well, McAfee is a sophomore out of McGee, Mississippi, and he comes in and he has all but 50 yards on the season of the passing yards for the Delta. Comes in completing right around 60% of his passes for 1,234 yards, Kelly, and he's also thrown for 10 touchdowns, so he absolutely can move the ball through the air.
Handoff, they try to go over right tackle. Minimal yardage there over the right tackle on 1st down. Pickup of about 2 or 3 depending on the spot. The ball carrier there for the Trojans is Patrick Jackson, the freshman running back. Goes at about 2:05. It's a gain of 1, 2nd down and 9. When you look at this Trojan roster, one name that stands out is the offensive coordinator, Scott Anderson, who was the offensive coordinator under William Jones in his last couple years at Pearl River. 2nd down and 9 for the Trojans. McAfee, play action, throws, quick pass on a little slant pattern, incomplete. Zion Washington was there and really should have made that catch, but he knew that he was going to get lit up by snow for Pearl River. Baker was also in the area for PRC. So incomplete, brings up a 3rd down and 9, just underway here, the first series of the game for the Trojans here on their home field. The end of the season for both of these teams today here in Moorhead.
Yeah, there's no question. That is where the term alligator arms comes from. He shortened up that reach radius there. Absolutely, Washington should have made that catch. The pass was on the money.
Stacked receivers to the right side, under pressure. Throws toward the sideline at about the 45-yard line. The pass was caught by Marquise McCoy, but he was out of bounds. So it won't count. That'll bring the punting unit on for the Trojans. They'll kick it away. So a nice defensive stand by Pearl River. Lane McGregor, the redshirt freshman punter, will come in to punt it away for the Trojans. He'll stand at about his own 30-yard line. Back to track it for Pearl River is Eli Strongfellow, the freshman cornerback out of Meridian.
Good start for Pearl River. Gave up 1 first down, but a nice stop after only allowing 14 yards on that offensive possession. Now we'll see if the Wildcats can get some good field position after the punt.
Good kick. Fair catch called for at the 19-yard line where Stringfellow hauls it in. So that's where the Pearl River offense will get to work now on this brilliant sunshiny Saturday, the last Saturday in October. Thanksgiving right around the corner. Of course, trick or treat this coming Wednesday night. Be careful on Wednesday driving your cars, especially during trick or treat hours. Make sure the youngsters are taken care of this Wednesday. So the Wildcats get to work with Cooper Callis at quarterback. Fakes the handoff and then throws it out into the right flat. That's hauled in by Dwayne Lee, the sophomore wide receiver out of Oak Grove, who wrangles his way across the 25 up to about the 26-yard line. Looks like a gain of about 7 on the play. And Callis was particularly effective against Southwest, working the sidelines with those little short out patterns and a quick drop and maybe a 2 or 3 step drop and a quick release. 2nd down and 3 after the gain. 3 receivers to the near side. You see him at the bottom part of your screen here on our HD feed. Callis can't find anybody. Now he's flushed from the pocket and runs right in to the arms of Terrence Williams, the sophomore linebacker, who stopped him for no gain, maybe even lost a yard on the play. It'll be 3rd down and about 4 upcoming for the River Cats with 12:49 left to go here in the first quarter. No score, the first possession of the game here for Pearl River.
Callis getting the start. He and Tavis Williams have basically split the passing yards right down the middle, but Williams much more of a threat to run the football as Callis right there getting sacked for the loss of a yard. He's coming in on the season, had only carried the ball 21 times for 21 yards.
Double out each side, handoff on the carry. That is Ron Thompson breaking free down the sideline and being pushed out of bounds at about the 40-yard line. Nice gain by Ron Thompson, who comes into this contest the 6th overall leading rusher for Pearl River, and he is right on the heels of moving up to 5th on the list. Number 1, of course, Chris Ryan, the all-time leading rusher for Pearl River during the 92-93 years when he was here. Again, a handoff to Thompson to try the right side again, and it looks like he'll be stacked up after a gain of about 4 yards. Making the tackle there is Antonio Boyd, the sophomore defensive back. 2nd down and 6 for Pearl River as they got the fresh set of downs here. Keeping this drive alive, Ron Thompson out of then Bassfield High School, now Jeff Davis County. Starts in the backfield, now comes to the near side. Empty backfield, Callis slings the pass to the far side. It is caught by K.J. Breland, the sophomore wide receiver out of Forest County AHS.
Good quick pass, 5 yards, makes it 3rd and short here. 3rd down, what do you want to call it, a long one or a short two? But the Wildcats moving pretty nicely on this very first possession of the ball game.
Breland wanted to try to sprawl forward, but it looks like one of his feet got out of bounds over there along the far sideline, leaving the Wildcats with a 3rd down and short. Callis fakes like they're running it. Again, that quick pass out to the right side. It's snagged by Breland, and then he is pushed out of bounds immediately, but it's enough to move the chains. And the Wildcats eating the elephant one bite at a time here, but moving the football from right to left. No score in this game early.
Everyone in the building expecting a Ron Thompson run right there. Good fake, good throw.
Callis on the pump fake has a man open at the 15-yard line. The pass is caught by Tyler Polk, and he got rocked as soon as he made the catch, but a nice grab that he hangs on to at about the 15-yard line. It's 1st and 10 for Pearl River.
Boy, the offensive coordinator and these play calls, they're in a groove right now. You threw those 2 short outs to Breland, faked it right there on a pump fake, and went down the field to Polk for 20 yards.
Up the middle this time. Callis will run it himself and finds a little bit of daylight inside the 10 down to about the 8-yard line. So Ryan Trevathan, mixing up the run and the pass here, has the Trojans on their heels. Pearl River has a 2nd down and about 3.5. Fakes the run and then throws it out to the sideline. Hayden Bryce, the freshman out of St. Joe's, cannot hang on to it. He threw it to the outside shoulder, which is exactly what you want to do so that no defender can get their hands on it. But Bryce just couldn't find the handle.
It's really the first thing that's gone wrong in this game, and we'll see if they can overcome it because that would have been another 1st down.
3rd down and about, call it a long 3 for Pearl River. Callis gives it to Thompson, but he runs right into the waiting arms of a trio of Trojans there. For those of you into alliteration, no gain on the play. It'll bring up 4th down and about 3 coming up, and we'll see if the Wildcats go with the field goal, or you got nothing to lose here, David. Why not go for the touchdown?
Well, the Wildcats want to win the game, and
sure.
You're in what would be normal makeable field goal range, but obviously on the flip side, you're right. There's nothing to lose here. It's 4th down and 3, and at the very least, if you get stopped, you pin the the Delta offense in deep in their own territory.
Pearl River can get a 1st down at about the 3.5-yard line. So here they are on 4th down. Clock moving with 9:43 left to go here in the first quarter. The give and go is to Thompson. Gets through the first wave and inside close to the goal line. It'll certainly be enough for a 1st down. Gutsy call.
Went with the read option right there. And again, if you hear the defense, I would much rather read Ron Thompson than Cooper Callis. But Cooper Callis gives it to Thompson. Great job, really, by the left side of the offensive line to create some space on the doorstep of a touchdown.
And they give it to Thompson again. Wildcats think that he got in, but the officials say that he is just short. He did something that you really shouldn't do, and running right into the waiting arms of Miles Meyer, the sophomore defensive lineman, who is 6 feet tall, 354 pounds.
If you do run into the waiting arms of Russ Meyer, you want not have him fall on top of you, that's for sure.
You remember the old 80s commercials and Wendy's, where's the beef?
Well, we're close to Halloween. Michael Myers is what more I'm thinking of.
A second down and goal for the Wildcats. The give and go, right straight ahead. Ron Thompson in unscathed. That's a Wildcat touchdown.
Well, that's a much easier thing. Just don't be touched. What a hole again by the left side of the Pearl River offensive line that was opened up for Ron Thompson and into the end zone for the score. What a nice drive, Kelly. 36 yards on the ground, 34 yards through the air, nearly 50-50, and they're in for the score.
Will Lang on to kick the extra point. He's probably got a lot of folks here today. He's from Indianola Academy, which is not far at all from here. The placement is down, the kick is up, and it is good. With 8:47 left to go in the first quarter, the Pearl River Wildcats have drawn first blood and lead the Trojans 7-0. You're watching Wildcat football on prccmedia.com.
Southern Miss to the top. Let's go Eagles!
It's another exciting year as we support the Golden Eagle team.
We're all in for Southern Miss football.
How about you? You'll find the best teams for customer service and price. At Pine Belt Chevrolet, Courtesy Ford, and Pine Belt Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. From tough trucks to your favorite SUVs to performance and fun. We're all in
For you.
Southern Miss to the top.
Well, the first trip into the Red Burrito Red Zone nets a touchdown for Pearl River. And, David, to me, the Wildcats in that drive executed so well, but is it just me, or do they look really relaxed today?
A 15-play drive that went 81 yards. I mean, it was a great drive, Kelly, and it had 10 on the ground, 5 through the air, mixed the run, mixed the pass. The offensive line protected well, created some holes. It was an excellent first opening drive for the Wildcats.
Will Lang pushes that kick to the far side of the field at about the 20-yard line. Trojans will try to set up the wedge, but Pearl River there leading the onslaught is Kyron Norwood on special teams. Good return for the Trojans. And making the return there for the home team Trojans is DeJean Polk, the freshman wide receiver, but they'll start at about their own 42-yard line, again working left to right. Pearl River leading this game 7-0.
Well, Kelly, the defense just needs to do what it did last time, and even though this Delta offense has improved this year, still having trouble rushing the football, only 67 yards per game on the ground. So if you can control the passing attack of Tyreek McAfee, you got a really good chance of getting out of Moorhead with a victory here this afternoon.
McAfee with split backs behind him, takes the snap and hands it off. They try the left side. Patrick Jackson, the runner there. Looks like the ball might have come loose, and fighting for extra yardage or the football at about the 44-yard line. It'll be a minimal gain of about a yard, maybe two, depending on the spot. Brings up second down for the Delta Trojans. Last game for the sophomores. You know, they know that this is their last game and at the junior college level, and so everybody certainly wants to play well, leaving a lasting impression.
There's not much of a secret of when they do run the ball, who's going to carry it. If you take out Patrick Jackson, all of the other running backs combined for the Delta, running backs now have 4 total yards on the season.
Play action. Here comes the blitz. The Wildcats are all over McAfee, and he is swallowed up at the 24-yard line. Great pursuit led by Kyron Norwood. 2 other Wildcats there with him. Down he goes. A big loss on the play, and it'll bring up third down and a new area code for Delta here with 7:38 left to go in the first quarter.
A 16-yard loss, and I just said that the offensive coordinator was in a groove calling plays. How about that perfectly timed blitz call by the Pearl River defensive coaching staff right there? Again, third down now and 24, a chance to get the quick 3 and out and get that offense that just had a great drive right back on the field again.
Ted Egger, the head coach of Pearl River, also calling the defensive plays. Third down and forever. Again, flushed from the pocket. McAfee trying to get away, and he is gobbled up again by the Wildcats. This time he maybe gets up to about the 32-yard line. One of the Wildcats a little slow in getting up. That's Snow, but he's back up onto his feet. The punting unit will be dispatched here for the Trojans. They'll kick it away. And back to track it for Pearl River again will be Stringfellow.
Fantastic start by the Wildcats. And look, this Pearl River team obviously is disappointed in the way this season has gone, but they would love to close it out with a couple of wins in their last 3 ball games, and they're off to a great start here on both sides of the football. Defense, 2 good possessions. Now the offense about to get another shot at it.
Punt is away. A nice Kick that is hauled in at the 30-yard line. Boy, it took a bounce or two off the chest of Stringfellow, but he's able to secure it, and the Wildcats will get to work 1st and 10 at their own 30-yard line. While we get a chance, we want to thank all of our sponsors who have made our webcasts possible this year. Good to have Anderson Design Center with us, our longtime sponsor of the scores from around the Mac Jack. Also, first-time sponsors, Poplarville Eye Center.
Yeah.
Glad to have them with us as well, and hopefully a long-lasting relationship. Pine Belt Chevrolet on Highway 98 near the Oak Grove area, also sponsoring the webcast. Handoff to Ron Thompson, nothing up the middle. He'll shift gears and come to the near side of the field. We've got a flag down, and Thompson tight ropes and gets out of bounds at about the 37, but I think this one is coming back.
It is, and boy, Devondrick Miller of the Delta Trojans is down. That's the danger of those plays that kind of reverse directions. Sometimes as a defender, you got to keep that, they say that head on a swivel. You got to keep your peripheral vision open because you might lose track of someone, and he absolutely got pancake blocked. He's still down at the 35-yard line. He was crushed. Although there was a hold, that's another danger when the play goes on the opposite side of where you think it's going to go, is those offensive linemen are blocking one way, and then all of a sudden the defender starts to move completely away, and they reach out and kind of grab at him. That happens a lot, and there's a 10-yard penalty right there that's assessed, although still not ready for play because of Miller being down.
An auspicious start to this drive for the Wildcats, who looked brilliant in their first drive and going down the field for a 7-0 lead. So it'll be 1st down and 20 as the hold took place right at the line of scrimmage.
You know, Ron Thompson, obviously the team victory is what we're looking for here, but Ron Thompson, we're keeping an eye out individually. If he can get to 170 yards, he would notch a 1,000-yard season for the Pearl River Wildcats this year. So, and the coaching staff knows that. I mean, if they can get him that 170, especially later in the game, they're going to try to get him over that 1,000-yard mark.
He's so deserving, and we've got movement on the left end of the Pearl River line. Looks like Ivory Scott was moving a little bit too early, which he shouldn't do, but I'm not going to reprimand him. You can tell him if you want, but it's a 5-yard mark off against Pearl River. And the reason I won't is because he's 6'4", 315 pounds. Not only that, but he's from New Orleans. And I think in New Orleans, they just as soon fight as eat hamburgers down there. 1st and about 25 now for the River Cats. With 5:44 left to go in the first, Pearl River leading 7-0. Twin receivers to the far side of the field. Backs split. Cooper Callis. We have not seen Tavis Williams yet today in the Pearl River lineup. Ron Thompson in the backfield. Callis calls for the football. Throws it out into that right flat again. But immediately taken down is K.J. Breland. I don't even think he got back to the line of scrimmage.
No, 4-yard loss on the play actually on that reception.
Sidney Williams, the sophomore linebacker, with the tackle. And Pearl River has it stuck in reverse here. There's only so much further they can go back.
Started the drive on the 30-yard line, have backed it all the way up to just outside their own 10 here on 2nd down and 30.
4:57 left to go here in the first quarter. The last Saturday before Halloween. Twin receivers again to the near side. Callis wants to throw. Lofts this one right across the middle. Looking for his man. He's got it. It's K.J. Breland who will get off to the races. He's going to get an unsportsmanlike call here as he took the Heisman Trophy pose.
And Kelly, this is going to not score. This is This is a spot foul. Absolutely selfish move, unfortunately, that cost the Wildcats a 90-yard touchdown reception. The referee running back to the spot. And I believe they're going to try to say that from the 16-yard line, they're going to try to mark this back and take the touchdown away from the Wildcats.
Boy, Cooper Callis floated a beautiful pass.
Perfect pass.
And a nice, gentle touch across the middle. It is unsportsmanlike conduct against Pearl River. And I don't know that they keep statistics in the Mac Jack about personal fouls this year, but the Wildcats have had a ton of them this year, unfortunately. And, of course, a lot of those are, again, self-inflicted. Breland cost himself a touchdown. He took the touchdown away from himself after striking the Heisman Trophy pose at the 15-yard line, knowing that he was not going to be caught. And he's taken a touchdown away from himself. It not only...
He gets 74 yards officially on the reception, because it went from the 10 to the 16, but then the 15-yard mark off, no points on the board. And now the Wildcats are back. I mean, they're in Delta territory, but at the 31-yard line, that's no guarantee to score. He might take all the points off the board off of that one finger point that he had to do.
Boy, unfortunate. Cooper Callis gives it to Thompson, and he is hit. He was licked as Rashawn Williams came in. The freshman defensive tackle blew it up, got past his blocker, and nailed Thompson in the background for a loss of 4 on the play, and I don't like the way that this series now is going, especially after that unsportsmanlike call.
You might have just woken up a sleeping dog is what you did. I mean, the crowd, you wouldn't even have known there was anybody on the home side for the first 2 possessions for these 2 schools. And the Wildcats should be up 14-0 right now, but now a little bit of life breathed into the Trojans after they feel a little bit slighted on that unsportsmanlike play.
3:41 left to go in the first quarter. They'll give it to Thompson again. Plenty of teeth right there for the Trojan defense, as stacking them up is Hakeem Pittman, the sophomore defensive lineman, 6 feet, 296 pounds, and it'll bring up 3rd down and about 14. There might not be much else to do in Moorhead, but they certainly do eat when you look at the weight of the guys across this defensive front. 3rd down and about 14. The Wildcats looking to keep this drive alive and extend this 7-0 lead. Clock moving with 3:09 left to go. Thompson split to the right of Callis. Callis wants to throw, rolls to his left. Still behind the line of scrimmage, throws this one down toward the end zone in the corner. It's caught. That's a Wildcat touchdown. Tyler Polk.
Kelly, that was just a beautifully thrown ball. I mean, there were 3 defenders in the area, and Cooper Callis not only floated it with the beautiful touch, he threw it 40 yards in the air, rolling to his left, and put it right in the only spot that it could be caught by a Wildcat.
Now, this is the Cooper Callis that you're hearing so much about out of Jackson, Missouri early in the year. 2 beautifully lofted passes with nice touch. Will Lang will come on to try to add the extra point and extend the Pearl River lead. 2:54 left to go here in the first quarter, and Lang's kick is good. Back in a moment with the kickoff. So far, so good. The Wildcats lead at 14-0. You're watching Wildcat football on prccmedia.com.
We want to thank you for quickly making Pine Belt Chevrolet one of the area's biggest dealerships. We're selling a lot of vehicles because you're finding out the best price and best service are right here. And during Truck Month, you get 18% off all 2018 Silverado 1500s, plus 90-day deferred payment, and 14% off all 2018 Tahoes, or choose from a big selection of certified pre-owned. New Pine Belt Chevrolet, Highway 98 West at Bellevue. Count on it.
Kelly Sander with Captain D. David Sutton back at Jim Randall Stadium in Moorhead today. David, the touchdown goes to Tyler Polk, but if I were KJ Breland, I would shake Polk's hand and I would shake Cooper Callis' hand and said that one was on me if we didn't get it.
Boy, and especially remember, you forget this. It was 3rd and 15, and it was all the way back at the 35-yard line. You weren't in field goal range. You were 1 play away, and probably – in more probable than not, on a 3rd and 15, just to convert that alone is not high percentage. And so the Wildcats not only convert but get the touchdown, and you're right. That's one where KJ Breland, it'll long be forgotten that he did that as far as the Wildcat fans are concerned, but that could have been a big play in this football game. But, Kelly, what a start for Cooper Callis. 7 of 8 throwing the football in the first quarter. The only incompletion was just a drop. If you remember, that should have been a first down reception on a short pass that he had on the first possession. But 7 of 8 for 141 yards and a touchdown, his 5th touchdown pass of the season.
Time for our Wildcat roll call. Make sure you text us at 601-310-7077. That's 601-310-7077. 7077. Let us know where you're watching the game from today. Just because it's the last game of the season doesn't mean you can't let us know that you're with us today on our HD stream here on PRCCmedia.com, the home of Pearl River Wildcat Athletics. Will Lang's kick again to the far side of the field, but this one is more of a low liner, fielded at about the 14-yard line. Trying to come more up the middle of the field is Polk. And he is wrestled down at about the 45. And did I see a flag fly in there late? I did.
You did.
And usually this will be on the return team.
Well, the Wildcats have been pooching it and going short because they haven't been real happy with their kick coverage. But right there, Mississippi Delta's deepest man, Kelly, was at the 17-yard line. So they were trying to just basically kick it over the top of everyone, which they almost did. But going backwards and making the catch around the 13-yard line, but then turning around and getting a great return, although the block in the back is going to help move the football back from the 42 to the 32, so a little more reasonable starting field position for this Wildcat defense to start at.
Well, the Wildcat offense has been in the Red Burrito red zone twice and has converted both times. Red Burrito bringing south of the border menu items north of the border. Red Burrito inside Hardee's in Poplarville, proud to support Wildcat Athletics. Running to the near side of the field is Patrick Jackson. Again, he's been the bell cow, the workhorse, whatever animal you want to choose. He gets across the 35-yard line to about the 37 is where they'll spot it. A gain of about 4. Second down and a long 6 coming up as we near the end of the first quarter with 2:25 left to go. And Pearl River winning this football game 14-0. And what a way it would be to end the season. Actually winning 2 out of the last 3.
Yeah, 2 out of the last 3.
So here we go. Second down. Tyreek McAfee at quarterback. People moving all over the place.
Well, that was a false start or an offsides, but it was in slow motion. It was.
Well, one usually follows the other, so we'll see here. It is offside.
Call it against Pearl River. 4th penalty already. We're still in the first quarter.
But the 5-yarders you can manage. The 15-yard one that took a touchdown off the board, those are a little bit more painful. Second down and just about a yard here after they got the penalty marked off, as we're south of 2 minutes left to go here in the first quarter. Quick pass out into the left flat. That's caught there by Jamel Banks. Banks on the swing pass up to about the 45-yard line. That's enough to move the chains, and I would think one of the things that Coach Scott Anderson wants to do here, Captain D. David Sutton, is just keep the ball out of Pearl River's hands now. The Pearl River offense has really come to life with a very strong pulse here in the first quarter.
And give his defense at least a chance to breathe. Boy, and that's a surprise right there. Banks, only his 2nd reception of the season, but only got 3 yards. But when you only need 1 for the first down, that moves the sticks.
First and 10 for the Trojans, working right to left. Again, other games today. Colin is at Southwest. Hines is at Gulf Coast to wrap up the regular season. Quick pass out to the right. Zion Washington was supposed to cut out, and he cut in. Incompletion stops the clock with 1:23 left to go. Brings up a second down and 10 for the Trojans, trailing Pearl River 14-0 here.
Again, McAfee came in, Kelly, with over 1,200 yards passing and 10 touchdowns so far in this first quarter. Pearl River defense, first of all, they've gotten a sack and a pressure on him, and he's only 2 of 5 for 17 in the early going.
Other games today, Colin at Southwest. That game starts at 3. Hines and Gulf Coast will tee it up at 3:30. Wanting to get out of the pocket is Tyreek McAfee, but he can't. He is submerged in the backfield. Pearl River all over him, and leading the charge there was Peyton Graham, the freshman linebacker out of Pop Vegas, the Poplarville Hornet, where they bring the sting every week in the backfield there. Poplarville, the winners again in Region 7-4A. At the high school level.
Another 3rd and long situation. Boy, Pearl River is creating some great opportunities for themselves so far. Have forced a couple of punts, looking to make it 3 for 3 here in this first quarter.
Tyreek McAfee has been a man under siege today. Twin receivers to the near side, looks to the middle, nobody there. Now rolls to his right, cranks this one up down the field. Is anybody there? It's tipped away. Great defensive play by Pearl River. There were 2 men in coverage there. Eli Strongfellow and Damian Gray were both there with a watchful peripheral eye, and it was Stringfellow to bat it away, and that'll bring up 4th down and long, and the punting unit will be dispatched here for the Trojans.
Yeah, Stringfellow couldn't have played that any better. Simply couldn't. I mean, he had his eyes on the ball. He knew where it was. He didn't get lost, and he went up and right at the height of his jump is where he knocked it away. That was absolutely picture-perfect defense and a great job, barring some sort of fake right here. It'll be 3 offensive possessions for Delta and 3 punts.
And the kick is away. This one is not a thing of beauty, but it does wiggle its way across the 35, and it'll be killed at about the 31-yard line. Of course, there was so much rain across the state the last couple of days that you're just not going to get any roll. A lot of the field's playable, but very soft. So the Wildcats will take over 1st and 10 at their own 31-yard line. We mentioned Halloween coming up next Wednesday at Campton D. According to Consumer Reports magazine, what is the top-selling Halloween candy in Mississippi this year?
In Mississippi?
Yes, in Mississippi. I will give you a clue. It is a brand name. Top-selling Halloween candy.
I'll go Snickers.
That is exactly right. How did you know that? I guessed Reese's Pieces and Taste the Rainbow. What is that? Skittles.
Skittles.
Yeah. Here's the sweep to the near side of the field. Back to more important things. Keontae Payton weaving his way through traffic. He his first run of the day gets him up to about the 35-yard line, and that will bring us to the end of the first quarter, although the Wildcats are huddling up very quickly, but I don't think they'll get this play underway before the clock goes to zeros, and we are done. 1 quarter in the books here at Delta today. It's Pearl River 14, Delta nothing. Back with more in a moment. You're watching Wildcat Football on PRCCmedia.com.
Get treated like family at the Poplarville Eye Clinic. Poplarville Eye Clinic can take care of your basic exam needs, and their professional staff treats dry eyes, allergy issues, pink eye, and glaucoma problems. Poplarville Eye Clinic offers pediatric exams and can fit regular and specialty contacts. Need glasses? Pick from brands like Ray-Ban, Coach, Nike, and Guess. Book your own appointment on their Facebook page or stop by 1249 South Main Street in Poplarville. Call 601-795-0137.
Underway here in the second quarter now as Pearl River will change directions. Wildcats faced with a 2nd down and 4. Callis wants to throw. He has his man up at about the 43-yard line. Nice footwork there by Tyler Polk. Still finding yardage across the 50-yard line into Delta's end of the field at the 47-yard line. So nice yak, as they call it, yards after the catch for Tyler Polk. Another completion for Cooper Callis, and they are watching Cooper from Jackson, Missouri today from the 573 area code. Glad to have you with us as the Wildcats get back to work again very quickly. Callis can't find anything to the right side, so it goes back to the middle and maybe picks up a yard there. Also checking in from the 601 area code, Tyler Stringfellow's big brother Eli tuning in from Meridian, Mississippi.
Cooper Callis's fans are having a nice afternoon so far. 9 of 10 for 163 and a touchdown.
And total yardage for Mississippi Delta, just 5 yards in the first quarter allowed by the Pearl River defense. 2nd down and 9 after the gain of 1. They show blitz here. Callis is able to avoid one man, rolls to his right, throws to the sideline, and really, for his life, he just threw it out of bounds. Donovan Hickman was in the area, but it goes incomplete and stops the clock with about 14 minutes left to go here in the second quarter.
Boy, Antonio James timed that snap absolutely perfectly. If it wasn't for Jesse Purnell picking him up, Cooper Callis would have gotten absolutely smashed, but just getting a chip on the blitzing James from his linebacking position gave Callis at least enough time to get out of the pocket and throw it away for an incompletion.
Thumbs up to Jesse Purnell, also a Poplarville High School graduate. Boy, the Hornets, they just keep cranking out athletes. They're just right down the road. It is 3rd down and about 9 now. Callis wanted to look to the sideline, now runs forward and maybe got ahead for a yard before he was tripped up on the play by Treshad Smith, the sophomore linebacker. It'll bring up 4th down, and the punting unit comes in for Pearl River. A shout out to the Monticellis who are watching today from the 585 area code. Now that's the Wildcats we knew were capable of all year. Keep it rolling. Best wishes from the Monticellis. You can join us as well at 601-310-7077. Lang to boot it away. This is not one of his better efforts. And it's kind of off the side of his foot, but you just see how it just kind of plugged there like a Mickelson lob wedge because of how soft the field is. So they will start 1st and 10 at about the 33-yard line, but the Trojans have got to figure something out offensively. Well, I mean, they don't have to, but they're trailing 14-0. Pearl River's defense has been especially stingy here today.
And the Delta really got away with one right there with the shank. Only a 13-yard punt. They only had 9 men on the field. One ran on late, so 9.5 players basically to defend that punt right there, but the Wildcats couldn't take advantage.
So here they go out of the shotgun formation this time. Tyreek McAfee, 3 down linemen for Pearl River. McAfee fakes the handoff, wants to throw, pump fake. Now down the sideline, got coverage along the sideline. Marquise McCoy was the intended receiver, but again, covered well by Savara Snow for Pearl River. Incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
That was better than well, Kelly. That was blanketed. There was nowhere at all for McCoy to make that catch. I mean, the Wildcat defensive backs are playing tight, and again, when you've only run the ball 7 times, if you add in the sacks, it's -12. If you take them away, it's 5 times for 8 yards. There's no respect to the running game, so the Wildcats are playing defense against the pass and taking it away.
Jackson will try the right side, but the Wildcats are there to swarm him under. Looks like Damian Gray came up from his linebacker position to nail him there. So it'll bring up a 3rd down and about 9 for Delta. Again, only 5 yards in the first quarter. And a rough series here so far with 12:52 left to go. Coming up on the Hardee's Halftime Show, we'll be talking with our boss, our producer, Mark Franklin, and, of course, we'll be kissing up to him, making sure that everything is in good stead for next year. But we'll learn about how Mark Franklin does his job as soon as he figures it out. No, we'll talk to him at halftime. Here we go, 3rd down and about 8 across the middle. That pass is caught. Great pass across the middle. Dejan Polk with the reception down at about the 40-yard line. Again, good coverage by Pearl River, but you have to credit the Trojans there on a good pass and catch.
Well, the first play of the game was a 14-yard reception. After that, Kelly, they've literally had nothing. That's really the first decent offensive play they've had since the very first snap of the ball game. That was a nice throw, was able to step up into the pocket and hit Polk for a 26-yard gain.
12 minutes, 10 seconds left to go here in the second quarter. The River Cats lead at 14-0, but the Trojans on the move. Handoff to Jackson, tries the middle, now cuts it back to the right, and he almost got away. And had he gotten away, it would have been about another 10 or 15 yards, but Reggie Williams was there keeping an eye on him, and good tackling by Reggie Williams because Williams was the one that hit him. Williams was the one that brought him down by himself. Wildcats have been guilty at different times during the year of just poor tackling, frankly.
Absolutely.
But a good play there by Reggie Williams. Gain of about 7 on the play. Brings up 2nd down and 3rd as the Trojans continue to move right to left on a flawless day here in Moorhead, Mississippi. On 2nd down, play action. McAfee wants to throw. Flush from the pocket. Runs right up the middle. He's breaking toward the end zone, and he is pushed toward the end zone. Did he get in?
The ball came loose at the end, too, as well, Kelly, but they're saying he's down literally about 3 blades of grass short of the goal line. It's inside the 1-yard line.
Well, you have to credit Tyreek McAfee. The pursuit was there for Pearl River.
Pearl River's saying, hey, we want the football here. Is that ball? He dove for the end zone. They're saying the ball came loose.
The Wildcats are pointing the other direction as if it should be their football.
They did recover it in the end zone, but the question is, did it come down when he hit the ground? You know, because he dove for it.
Because the ground cannot cause
correct.
a fumble.
And that's what it looks like the call is going to be. So it's a 32-yard run, and the Delta knocking on the door trying to cut this lead in half.
Inside the 1-yard line, a very tough task for any defense to come up big on 3 or 4 straight plays to keep a team out of the end zone. But we'll see how the Wildcats respond here. With 11:05 left to go here in the second quarter. Delta trying to get the goose egg off of the scoreboard. McAfee, Tyreek McAfee Actually, a direct snap to Jackson, and a bad snap. Jackson, before he had the football, looked to the right. He gave away where he was running, and that split second, he took his eye off the football. He dropped it and had to recover it.
Well, we call it, every team has their own name for it, but we all remember Miami Dolphins using it about 8 years ago that started the Wildcat formation. But
Right.
you had Jackson in there, direct snapping. You know, Kelly, when you're on the half-yard line, I think sometimes you just outthink the room. Why? Let the quarterback, who's used to handling the football, hand it to the running back who's used to running it. That's a big loss. It's a 7-yard loss all the way back to the 8.
Now McAfee will hand it off to Jackson. This time the ball squirts free, and then did he recover it in the end zone, or is it out of the back of the end zone?
No, the Wildcats have it.
The Wildcats have recovered it. This will be a touchback.
And go back to the tackle on the 1-yard line, Kelly. McAfee looked like he was going to go into the end zone on the 32-yard scramble for the touchdown, but the Wildcat defense did not give up, tackled him just short of the goal line. And you said it's a tough task for any defense, but you know what? They made the Delta earn it, and they didn't get the half yard they needed. What a stop by the Wildcat defense.
And Kyron Norwood is the man that recovered the football in the end zone, and he made sure that it was blanketed. So 1st and 10 for the Wildcat offense now, which has been really clicking on all cylinders today. Pass to the right sideline. KJ Breland gets it and then darts out of bounds just over the 30.
And that's, I believe, Tavis Williams is checked in.
It is Tavis Williams' first pass of the day. Tavis, the sophomore out of Harrison Central High School. His Red Rebel teammates have only lost 2 games this year. Casey Kane and Patrick Garvin have things rolling down there on the coast. That's a gain of 8, 2nd down and 2. Fakes the handoff, now pitches it right side to Thompson. Thompson evades one tackler, but then goes down at about the, 26-yard line maybe, depending on the spot. Actually, inside there, inside the 25.
Yeah, 4-yard loss. You had a 2nd and 4, and with that loss on the play, it's a 3rd and 8, and actually that was a great job by Thompson. That pitch was on his shoe tops. Just to be able to corral that and avoid it hitting the turf was a nice job, but a lot of pursuit over there by the Delta defense, and stopped him for a 4-yard loss.
3rd down and 9 now with the clock moving. 9:15 left to go here. Pearl River continues to lead the Delta 14-0. Glad that you're with us here on PRCCmedia.com. Tavis Williams wants the football, now wants to throw. Does, toward the near sideline. But Hayden Bryce was not open, frankly. He was covered beautifully there by Trayshad Smith. The linebacker came over to make the play. Incomplete. It'll bring up 4th down and 8, and Pearl River will kick it away.
It's the second time in the last couple of possessions, Kelly, that the Delta has timed Pearl River's snap count exactly. That time it was Isaac Gibson, but Gibson looked like he knew. He was in the huddle with the Wildcats and knew what was going on, and he was the one who initially disrupted that play and made Williams get rid of it before he really wanted to.
So Will Lang will set the cleats down at about the 10-yard line as he kicks this one away. A much better effort as the football turns over and takes a Pearl River bounce inside the 40 and wiggles out of bounds at about the 37-yard line, or in the neighborhood. Now we got some pushing and shoving going on at about the 50-yard line. It's not like Delta to ever get in a fight with anybody. A couple of years ago, the highly publicized battle with East Mississippi that actually kept East Mississippi from winning the national championship.
Not just that year, Kelly. East Mississippi has won 4 of the past 6, and really they should be 6 for 6. That year they had won the North Division, and that last game of the season suspended them from the playing for the state championship, which would have probably been a national title. And then the next season, they couldn't play their sophomores who had been on the team the previous year, lost a game in the early part of the season.
To Jones.
Finished 3rd in the nation instead of 2nd and didn't play for another national title. That one brawl cost them 2 possible national championships.
1st and 10 for the Trojans on the handoff. Everything congested up the middle, and no room at the end there for Patrick Jackson as he is stuffed. No gain. Actually, it wasn't Jackson. That was Deron Thorns on the carry. So Thorns actually maybe lost a yard on the play. 2nd down and 11. Clock moving with 8:43 left to go here in the second quarter.
10 carries for 27 yards coming in, and you're thinking, hey, David, you said they only had 4. You've got 3 other people who have negative yardage. So Thorns is really the only other running back on the roster who's gone forward this season for the Delta.
Twin receivers to each side. McAfee, a quick pass out into the right flat across the 40 to about the 41-yard line.
How about that closing speed by Stringfellow?
The pass is complete to Dejon Polk, but Stringfellow hit him immediately. It'll bring up a 3rd down and about 6 for the Trojans, who trail in this game 14-0 as we near the 8-minute mark left to go here in the second quarter from Jim Randall Stadium on the campus here in Moorhead. Man, a beautiful day. Great day to watch football. So we'll see what the Trojans come up with. Man in motion coming to the near side is Washington. Now McAfee wants to throw. He has all kinds of time. Now runs up the middle, but is wrapped up and dropped. Good pursuit by Josh Smith, the freshman defensive tackle for Pearl River, kept an eye on him and brought him down. It's a loss on the play, and the punting unit again will come in for Delta. Lane McGregor, the redshirt freshman, does the punting for the Delta, and he comes in to boot it away at about the 25-yard line, and Stringfellow will retreat for PRC.
Well, the last time McAfee broke contain, he went for 32 yards and nearly a touchdown. That time, no such luck.
This is kind of a low liner. Stringfellow calls for the fair catch at the 30-yard line, and Pearl River will get back to work. Hardee's wants to remind you, Hardee's in Poplarville, not to forget your student ID or faculty ID. Every day you go there, if you present your ID, you'll get a discount. There's no limit as to the number of discounts you can have throughout the year. They'd love to see you every day, and they bake their buns fresh every single day. If you go in the morning, you can also try the Fruit Loop donuts, the mini donuts that taste just like the breakfast cereal for a limited time only.
Anything better than fresh baked buns?
Well, you said it, and I'll put an exclamation behind it. 1st and 10 for the Wildcats now as Cooper Callis is back in the lineup. Cooper Callis going under center, which we don't see a lot of for this Pearl River team. Callis pitches to Thompson, a sweep to the left side. Thompson is able, but then coughs it up. The football is on the ground at the 35, and the Trojans have come up with it. Thompson coughed it up. The Trojans come up with the turnover. Ladarius Glover, the freshman linebacker, gets credit with the fumble recovery. They advance it to the 15-yard line of Pearl River, so the Wildcat defense, no rest for the weary. Here they have to come out again and defend.
Well, that's Ron Thompson. If there's somebody who has not coughed the ball up this year, it's been Ron Thompson. Very few times have we seen that. It's almost like you had to look at that ball on the ground for a good second before you kind of processed, yeah, Thompson fumbled the football, but the first turnover of the day for Pearl River, best starting field position by far for either one of these teams, as the Delta now starting in the red zone at the 15-yard line.
1st and 10, the handoff, ball's on the ground again, and Pearl River recovers it. Reggie Williams from his linebacker position, as that ball was coughed up by Deron Thorns.
Well, we told you that the running attack for the Delta was basically a one-man show, and Deron Thorns, who had only carried the ball 10 times on the year coming in, on his second carry of the afternoon here, drops it on the ground. A big turnaround. Great stop. The Wildcats, remember, on their last 2 possessions on defense, they get inside the 1 to the Delta. They turn them away with no points. They start at the 15, and 1 play later, the offense is back on the field. What a great job by the Pearl River defense.
6:55 left to go in the second quarter. Cooper Callis is in at quarterback. He's got time to throw, but wants to leisurely roll to his right, puts this one toward the sideline, and it's caught. Nice catch across the 40 to about the 44-yard line. K.J. Breland with the snag this time.
They're still talking it over, though, Kelly.
He was in.
Really close.
No, he was in. You only have to have one.
Nope, they're waving it off. They're waving it off.
No, he was in. Oh,
and a flag, and it's K.J. Breland. And Breland already with a 15-yarder. This may be a disqualification for him, as if this is on him, it'll be his second unsportsmanlike in the first half.
Now we have to call it the way we see it, and it was right below where I'm looking, and his right foot was clearly in bounds. That's the way I saw it. But that's not the way the officials saw it. They have to call it that way. And when KJ saw that he was not going to get credit for the catch, apparently got a little verbally truculent down there, and the flags flew. And that is the second, and he is the second personal foul. We haven't seen the ejection. It might be automatic. I don't know. We'll see here. But it is unsportsmanlike. against Pearl River. That is his second, and so he is ejected. Now we get the sign that KJ Breland has been eliminated from this contest.
5 catches for 85 yards. That reception would have taken him over 100 had it counted. But again, Kelly, you've got to control yourself. So, you know, one of Pearl River's biggest offensive weapons, receiving the football, has been thrown out of the game. He'll end his season with 23 receptions for just under 350 yards, but he was obviously on his way to his best performance of the season before being ejected.
And he's a sophomore. So I hate that his last game of his career at Pearl River will end that way. But I totally get the fact that he didn't like the call. I didn't like it either, but I mean, that's the way it goes.
Kelly, what happened is that his right foot was in, but his left foot almost came down simultaneously when he caught the football. I agree. I think it was a catch. And I do agree that when the one official comes in and says it was a catch, that it probably should have stood, that it wasn't that overwhelming for the back official to come in and overrule the one who was closer to the play. But it was a little closer than what you might have thought, especially if your attention was to that back foot. But it was a great back shoulder throw, Kelly, because KJ Breland, I don't know if you saw it, he wasn't even turned around at that time. It was Cooper Callis who had rolled out. He threw it to a spot. That reminds you of Aaron Rodgers. You know, Aaron Rodgers will throw to a spot, and his receivers will turn around, and, oh, by the way, that's the perfect spot where they can make the catch. Callis with a spectacular throw, but unfortunately it was wiped off the board.
Tough break for Pearl River, and the Wildcats get marched backwards because of it. Second down and about 17 now with 6:47 left to go before half. Pearl River continuing to lead 14-0. From the 228 area code, Jaden Ridgway's Aunt Dana is watching from Moss Point. Glad to have her along, trying to get some of those yards back. It is a Donovan Hickman screen pass to the left side. Hickman across the 20 up to about the 24-yard line, depending on the spot. Nice job, just getting a few yards back. Don't have to get it all at one time.
Well, Kelly, that was a 17-yard screen right there. I mean, that was an excellent play call, but even better execution by Callis and Hickman.
3rd down and 5. Handoff up the middle. This is Purnell. Purnell carrying Trojans with him. Look at the scrum moving forward, still running across the 35 to the 36-yard line. That'll be a chain mover for the River Cats. A first down with 6:10 left to go here in the first half. Wildcats trying to put some more pointage on the board before our intermission.
Kelly, they had the ejection, the controversial call. They were moved back to their own 7-yard line, and 2 plays later, they've moved the sticks. What a great turnaround from that bad set of events there just 2 plays ago.
High snap. Callis is able to pull it down, but the play late developing, and the Trojans were all over it, and a loss on the play. Leading the onslaught there was several players from the linebacker position. Leading the way there was Terrence Williams, the sophomore.
Yeah, you could almost look down at the entire defensive roster right there as they were all in on that play. 2nd down and 10. But the Wildcats, you know what also they're doing, Kelly? They're shrinking this game. I mean, they are absolutely dominating time of possession.
Callis wants to throw a little swing pass out of the backfield, incomplete.
Coulda, woulda, should have been caught, though.
Yeah, T.J. Wash was the man there. Now, he saw 2 of the Trojans out of the corner of his eye. Trayshad Smith and Jaquanzi Johnson were both all over him there and would have no doubt pummeled him had he made the catch. And I can't help but think that had something to do with him just not being able to corral it when you know you're going to take a lick across the middle. 3rd down and 10. Incompletion stops the clock with 5:25 left to go. Twin receivers to the near side, split. Actually, one back in the backfield for Callis. Man moving to the far side is Polk. Callis, pump fake, now rolls to his right. Penalty marker is down, so he'll throw this out of bounds, and it is nearly intercepted. Wow, if you're going to throw it out of bounds, Cooper, make sure you throw it high enough to where it gets beyond the line. But again, a penalty marker down. This will probably go against the River.
Well, and Kelly, I tell you, the Delta is very fortunate they didn't get a personal foul roughing the passer, especially in this day and age where you're not allowed to drive the quarterback into the ground. I know that's an NFL rule, but a lot of times those rules kind of trickle into the the lower levels for sure into the minds of the referee. And right there, Callis was picked up after he threw that and absolutely wrestling pile drive into the ground. And that was not called. The good news is that the penalty actually was an offsides against the Delta lined up in the neutral zone. So the Wildcats are going to get a second shot at this on 3rd and 5.
Well, how did they allow that play to even take place then?
Well, no contact was made. So they were just lined up offside, so they let the play go. So that was a free one for the Wildcats.
3rd down and 5. Pass across the middle is hauled in by Tyler Polk, who did the second base slide right across the 45 to the 46. That's enough to move the chains again. Pearl River, again, dinking and dunking and moving itself down the field and trying to extend a 14-0 lead here in the remaining 5 minutes of the first half.
Callis approaching the 200-yard mark here in the first half on 11 of 15 throwing the football.
Pearl River looking to end the season with 2 out of 3 wins and a good starting point for 2019. Play action. Look out. Callis to his left. He's in trouble. Tries to get this one to Ron Thompson out of the backfield. Good play by Callis trying to make something out of nothing. And luckily, he overthrew Thompson because Delta, specifically Jerry Lee Smith, was there ready to clock Thompson had he made the catch. 2nd down and 10 now.
It's one of those things, though, that just goes unnoticed. What great quarterback awareness. Knowing where somebody is. You can't just throw it away if Thompson's not there. You're going to get the penalty. He throws it away in the direction of someone. That was a great incompletion.
2nd down and 10. Callis with an empty backfield. Has a man near the first down stake. Coming back to get it is Tyler Polk. He's probably going to be about a yard short. But a nice gain on 2nd down will bring up 3rd and short for Pearl River, keeping the clock moving with 4:35 left to go here in the second quarter. Pearl River up by 2 touchdowns.
Polk came in leading this team in both receptions and yards. He is having nearly a 100-yard effort in the first half.
Pump fake, throws this one. Look out, this is in interception territory, down at about the 20. Now, there was no play to be made there. Keontae Payton was double covered down at the 20, and the Wildcats were lucky that this one wasn't picked and returned.
They're obviously going to go for this, though. You don't call that play if you don't think that, hey, if we don't get it, we're still going for it on 4th and 1. They took a shot on 3rd down and 1, and now the offense will stay on the field. I would be shocked if they do not, and they'll go for this here.
Let's see what Ryan Trevathan dials up. Maybe they'll first try to get the Trojans to jump off sides as they stack the box, and there they go. So a hard count. Look, this was not – I don't have a script in front of me. This isn't the WWE, but, I mean, that's exactly what you're going to try to do. And then if you need to run the 4th down play, do it, but you won't even need to now, as Delta is its own worst enemy there and gives Pearl River a 1st down at the Trojan 40-yard line.
Well, you got to feel a red alarm signal should have went off when Callis went under center. They went under center the whole game, and obviously that's what he was trying to do, but still couldn't hold themselves back, a freebie.
Callis stands in the pocket, looks for a receiver. It's caught at the 10-yard line. A great catch made there by Keontae Payton. He was wrestled down at about the 3-yard line. Another big gain and some more scuffling going on back at the line of scrimmage, and penalty markers fly.
It's a 35-yard gain. It was a great catch, but Kelly, quite frankly, George Jackson, the free safety, I don't know what he was doing. He ran right past the football as if he didn't know it was in the air. That's actually a break. The free safety should have intercepted that pass, but instead he let it go really behind him as he overran it, and Peyton was able to make the catch down around the 5. The question is, with all the pushing and shoving going on, who is this going to be called against?
Cooper Callis was there to try to pick up on the conversation at about the 40-yard line. And you can't tell by Cooper's body language if it's going for Pearl River or against Pearl River. But the officials certainly talking it over at the 45-yard line. The Hardee's halftime show coming up in just a few moments. Mark Franklin will be joining us in his first year at Pearl River Community College. In the Sports Information Department, we'll be talking with Mark Franklin as the referees continue to discuss it. As the Wildcats now inside the Red Burrito red zone inside the 20-yard line. Red Burrito bringing south of the border menu items north of the border inside of Hardee's near downtown in Poplarville. It is an unsportsmanlike call against the Wildcats.
So what they're going to do is they're saying it's a dead ball foul, though. So the play counts, but they're about to mark it back from where it sits at right around the 5-yard line. It may take it just outside the Red Burrito red zone, as this is the fourth unsportsmanlike or 15-yard penalty marked off against the Wildcats so far.
Pearl River leading this game 14-0, but would certainly like to make it 21-0 and has ample time with 4:13 left to go in the second quarter. But you're right there knocking on the goal line, and another unsportsmanlike call. And I would think one of the discussions that will be had by both coaching staffs at halftime is, look, it's the end of the year, all right? Button your lip. Let's just play the game, finish it up, do the best you can, and let's get out of here on both for both Delta and Pearl River. But now the Wildcats are marched all the way back to the 21-yard line, but it'll still be 1st and 10 from there as the clock moves with 4:04 left to go. Callis looking to the sideline, and now timeout is called by the Wildcats. We'll take a break with them. 3:59 left to go in the second quarter. Pearl River up 14-0. Back in a moment. You're watching Wildcat football on prccmedia.com.
Hey, I'm Delana Harris from Pearl River Community College, and like football, life takes a great game plan, the right tools and equipment, and having an encouraging coach always helps.
At PRCC, we have full academic offerings for the first 2 years of college and over 40 career and technical education programs.
With personalized advising and a student-instructor ratio of 17-1, creating your game plan for success is easy.
So come join our team at Pearl River Community College and enroll with the Maroon and Gold.
Teams have broken their huddles and returned to the field of play here at about the 22-yard line. Still should be 1st and 10, and it is for the Wildcats. Cooper Callis calling for the football, giving it to Thompson, who runs to the far side of the field and stays in bounds, it looks like, and is dropped just short of the first down at about the 11-yard line. Nice run by Ron. We'll keep you up to date on his numbers coming up at halftime and how far he's got to go to become number 5 on the all-time rushing list at Pearl River. Again, Chris Ryan from 92-93 way out in front in those rushing statistics. A handoff to Thompson again. Tries the left side, weaving his way back to the right. Thompson inside the 5, down to about the 3-yard line. That'll be enough for a first down with 3:26 left to go, and don't be surprised if they give it to Thompson again.
These are the 2 best runs for Ron this quarter. They've really done a good job of bottling him up. After running for 33 yards in the first quarter, he was -4 before those last 2 carries, but now has the Wildcats just outside the goal line area at the 3-yard line. This would be a really nice score here as we approach the 3-minute mark of the first half to give them some nice elbow room, hopefully heading into the locker room.
And Pearl River would like to extend that lead to a 3-touchdown game. Man in motion, play action. Callis, little swing pass out to Hickman. Hickman into the end zone. That's a Wildcat touchdown.
Donovan Hickman is first touchdown reception of the year on the 3-yard catch. He had 2 catches on that drive alone for 20 yards.
The sophomore out of Union, Mississippi, with a touchdown catch in his final game as a Pearl River Wildcat extends the lead to 20-0. And the River Cats will try to make it 21 with the addition of the extra point kicked by Will Lang. Out of the hold of Max Crawford, the quarterback out of Oak Grove. This kick is up, and the kick is good. I loved the half-hearted effort there by the Trojans to try to block that that extra point. It was kind of, okay, when the whistle blows, we'll just stand up, you know. But the kick is good, so Pearl River leads at 21-0. While we get a minute, let's go to the Anderson Design Center scoreboard. They have gone to half down in Perkinston. Gulf Coast 24, Hines 10. Again, neither of those teams going to the playoffs. Tough break for Mississippi Gulf Coast, ranked 15th in the country and not going to the playoffs.
That's their homecoming, too.
Third quarter now they've moved to, and Gulf Coast leads Hines 24-10. And at Co-Lin today, Southwest leading Co-Lin 7-3 as they move to the second quarter in Wesson.
You wonder if maybe the Co-Lin is resting everyone. I mean, again, the game really means nothing. it's not like their ranking is going to go up if they if they win. I mean, they got East Mississippi next week, and the last thing you want is to have a quarterback or a running back possibly go down. You never know. That might be what's going on.
Yeah, but if I'm a Southwest fan, I'm texting you, Captain D, and say, give us a break here. Will you? I mean,
great job by the Bears.
There
Nicely
you go.
Done.
They lead.
Trying to pull the upset.
Right, that's right. Will Lang ready to kick this one away for Pearl River. Actually goes down the middle of the field for the first time today, snagged at the 15-yard line, finding some nice running room to the left side, but then stood up. DeJean Polk brings it back, but man, did he get smacked by Cantrell Banks, the freshman linebacker for Pearl River out of Lake, Mississippi. Almost put him on his keister, but they'll start at the 41-yard line. Nice return for the Trojans. It hasn't been the Trojan special teams that haven't done well, punt returns and kickoff returns. It's just there are a couple cylinders down offensively today, but part of that is credit to the Pearl River defense.
Yeah, they've had great starting field position almost the entire ball game. They just haven't been able to do anything with it. And Pearl River, on the other hand, hasn't had all that much, hasn't bothered them a bit.
McAfee wants to throw, does a little dump pass across the middle. It's caught by Patrick Jackson, the running back out of the backfield, got about 5 on the play. By the way, all of our scores brought to you by our friends at Anderson Design Center. Whether you need paint, whether you need tile, flooring, rugs, whatever you need. Anderson Design Center for you right off of Highway 98 in the Oak Grove area near Oak Grove Optimus Park. I actually got some stain there this week for the little places above my garage door that are starting to fade a little bit. So I've got a weekend project. There's a handoff. Jackson gets the first down now and comes back to the middle part of the field, down to about the 39-yard line. A nice run there by Patrick Jackson, freshman running back.
14 yards on the carry, and before that, Kelly, 7 carries for 8 yards. So you talk about a good job bottling up their number one threat from the running game, but right there finally getting loose for some yardage as they're into Wildcat territory.
1:45 and counting left to go in the half. We'll see how the Trojans use the clock here. McAfee across the middle. The pass is caught, but immediately Pearl River stops the forward progression. Raheem Moore with the reception, and he was wrapped up. Damian Gray, the defensive back, and Reggie Williams, the stalwart linebacker out of Hattiesburg, on the stop there for Pearl River. Boy, what a year the Hattiesburg High Tigers are having. Huh?
They have got to be the favorite to win the 5A title. They are, especially to represent the South. They are strong.
And playing at the state championship this year because it would be in Hattiesburg. Wouldn't that be a treat? There's a handoff over left tackle. Not much there. Reggie Williams again on the stop. Jackson on the carry. Maybe a gain of a yard, but timeout is called on the field. Yeah, for the next 2 years, I guess, the MHSAA state championship games will be played at M.M. Roberts Stadium.
Really? I didn't know it was 2 years in a row.
Yes, this year and next year.
Well, it's been a long drive for the South participants for sure when it's up in Oxford or at Mississippi State. Of course, fantastic facilities, don't get me wrong. You know, working at Super Talk, we've sent some of our announcers up there, and they feel like they're in the Taj Mahal when we were covering Taylorsville. You do some games from the Taylorsville press box and then get to go up to Starkville. That's a little bit of a difference for the announcer. He was quite happy to get to make that drive up there to cover the Tartars that year.
Yeah, in Taylorsville, you roll dice to see who gets to sit inside.
That's right. Whoever draws the longest straw.
That's right. And, of course, because we're in the world we're in, it's a paper straw.
That's right.
Not a plastic straw. Third down coming up here for the Delta with 1:09 left to go. Reggie Williams has caught fire here for this linebacking core for Pearl River. Here comes the blitz. McGee lofts this down the field, and it's intercepted by Snow at the 20-yard line. He's upended immediately. Savaris Snow out of Newton with the pick. It's another turnover, and Pearl River continues to play well here today. Their play as brilliant as their uniforms in this sunshine. Here in Moorhead, it's a turnover, and the Wildcats have it with 1:02 left to go before the break.
Well, the Wildcats brought basically the jailbreak blitz. They brought everybody, and Marquise McCoy, the wide receiver for Delta, didn't help his quarterback out at all. Actually, the offensive line of Mississippi Delta, I thought, did a pretty decent job in at least giving McAfee some time to look, and he put it up into an area in a one-on-one situation. McCoy never looked back for the football.
Well, I think he ran the wrong route, too. So Snow was able to pick it up immediately. So we'll see how Pearl River plays it with 1:02 left to go. See if Pearl River on that swing pass to Thompson, he is able to spin around and make the catch and takes himself out of the play after a gain of about 9 or 10 along that far sideline. Jailbreak Blitz, wasn't that a #1 song by the Sweet back in the late 70s? It's a Jailbreak Blitz.
Is it?
The Sweet from, I think they were from Sweden or Switzerland or somewhere over there. Anyway, it's a
I'll
gain
take
of
your word for that one.
Gain of about 4. Yeah, they had music back in the 1970s. Second down and
Did it have words?
6 to go. Back when you could understand lyrics.
Yes.
Callis with Thompson to his right. Takes the clap. There's a penalty marker down. I think Pearl River might have a false start here. This is thrown into double coverage, and it's intercepted.
But Kelly, no, it was the opposite. It was a free play. This was on the Delta. That's why it wasn't stopped. The Delta was offside, so Cooper Callis did a good job right there. Why not? Throw it up down the field. Maybe your guy makes the catch. If not, you're going to get the 5-yard penalty. That was a really nice job of being aware by Cooper Callis that the flag was going in his favor, so no reason to throw it short. Throw it long, see if you get a big play out of the deal.
You're seeing Cooper Callis maturing a little bit today, aren't you, as a quarterback?
He's playing his best game, and it's not even close. The game against Southwest in which he came on in relief, and he was very sharp in that football game. Still, it was nothing compared to this, Kelly. He's approaching the 250-yard mark in the first half.
Actually, there are 2 penalties on the play, offsides and roughing the passer. So Pearl River will decline the offside, obviously, and take the bigger penalty, which is roughing the passer.
48 seconds left, Kelly.
Yeah.
They're up around the 40-yard line. And, hey, this all started on the very first call. You're back at your own 15. You could run it twice and take it to the locker room. They've been aggressive and gotten a penalty right here, and now up around the 40, a chance to maybe get into field goal range.
Both teams playing their hearts out here for the last game of the season, and now another whistle blows along the far sideline here, making sure everybody's on the same page. Justin Mary has checked in for Pearl River. The tight end is the second man down the line here, number 22, Justin Mary out of Oak Grove High School outside of Hattiesburg. Oak Grove had a big win last night over Pearl. The Pirates. Callis wants to throw, and he finds Justin Mary across the middle, and he gets dumped immediately but gets the ball down to the 45-yard line. Nice catch by Mary, and the Wildcats working in a hurry-up offense.
Good job right there. That's a quick 14, ready to go at the line already, and we get a timeout. And the Delta is going to try to get themselves back. In fact, they had 12 men on the field. So trying to maybe stop this momentum of Pearl River combined with avoid what would have been another penalty against their defense.
So Pearl River playing kind of this hurry-up type offense, playing really, really well. Still in the third quarter, Gulf Coast over Hines 24-10. Southwest has hit pay dirt again and leads Colin 14-3 in the second quarter over in Wesson, Mississippi. Way to go, Bears.
I tell you what, that would I don't care who Colin's playing, that would be a shocker. I mean, because we obviously, being eyewitness to those two teams and the way that they played when Pearl River played them, Colin just looked like a superior football team to the Bears. Of course, there's some time left in that ball game, but
sure.
Still, even the lead that Southwest has is very surprising.
38 seconds left to go in this half. Pearl River all over the Trojans, 21-0, and they're obviously going to try to get some more points on the board before the end of the half. Twin receivers to their side. Now Mary goes into motion. That's Justin Mary. Handoff, or fakes the handoff. Callis rolls to his right. He's still behind the line of scrimmage. He can throw it and then throws it into the ground. Ron Thompson was kind of working his way that direction, so it will not be intentional grounding. Stops the clock with 31 seconds left to go. All of our scores brought to you by our friends at Anderson Design Center off of Highway 98 in Oak Grove in Hattiesburg. Alan Anderson is a Wildcat himself.
Absolutely. He's a Wildcat.
He never tells us what class he was in, but he just said that he graduated from Pearl River. Even men sometimes can be sensitive about their age. Second down and 10 for Pearl River. Again, twins to each side. Callis and company at work. Now Thompson shifts to the left. Callis looking to the sideline, and the pass is thrown and is complete to Keontae Payton, who steps out of bounds. And they might even just be trying to work themselves into field goal range, if nothing else.
Oh, I think that's what they're trying to do at the very least. And Keontae Payton, only 9 receptions on the season. Kelly, he's got 3 here in the first half, having a nice start to this football game.
Cooper Callis wants the football. They fake it to Thompson, out to the sideline again, and it's caught by Tyler Polk. And I think that
Wildcats have to use a timeout here. They had 2 left, and plus this play is short of the first down. Had Polk been across the sticks, that's why there was a little delay right there, because the coaching staff was hoping they got the spot and if they would stop the clock to move the chains, but because it came up short, they had to burn that timeout there with just 19 seconds remaining in the first half.
So they'll huddle up here. And I'm not. Is that Pearl River's last one?
No, they have one left.
They do
still have one left.
Okay, and that's a good one to have in your back pocket with 19 seconds left to go.
Tyler Polk now, Kelly, 6 receptions for 89 yards here in the first half. KJ Breland, unfortunately not available anymore. He had 85 yards and nearly 2 Wildcats going over the 100-yard mark here in this first half as Cooper Callis is absolutely just blazing here this afternoon. 18 completions to 7 different receivers so far.
And what you need to make note of what David just said is those are first half statistics. These receivers over 100 yards each. First down and 10. Callis wants to throw again. Does, but this one is short.
But, Kelly, they gave him the first down during the timeout. Did you see that?
I did. I do now. And I think maybe the Delta was even a little bit surprised at that. Because they would have thought that would have been 4th down. Here's a penalty marker, meanwhile, at the 39-yard line.
It looks like it's against the Wildcats.
Well, the referees have been busy here in this second quarter. The first quarter just zipped past.
We have 1 ejection, 4 personal fouls, and this is the 11th accepted penalty of the afternoon, and that's actually a 15-yarder.
Uh-oh.
Another personal foul.
Oh, boy. So now you take the knee with 16 seconds left.
Oh, no? Knee. Oh, absolutely not.
You see Hayden Bryce waving toward Callis over here saying, hey, man, I'm going to be open down here. Just lay it up there for me.
Fire one down the field and see what happens. I mean, really, the Delta is, look, they're not really in a prevent defense. You could possibly hit something down the field against this defense.
Polk in motion to the near side. Callis throws it again to the sideline, incomplete. Incomplete. The intended receiver is Keontae Payton. Again, KJ Breland out of this contest after a couple of personal foul calls in the early part of this game. 13 seconds left to go in the half. Pearl River leads at 21-0, but they'd like to forget this series. Unless
they'd have to go down the field on this play. No more of the short passes. Take a chance right here.
They actually hand it off to Thompson and nothing. He might have gotten back to the line of scrimmage. So the River will be happy with a 21-0 lead, or did they call their last timeout?
They did. That's a smart play, Kelly. You call a timeout with a couple seconds left, and now you throw the Hail Mary. Remember back to the East Mississippi game. Actually, did the Delta call a timeout? Now, if the Delta called a timeout, Kelly, that's terrible.
Doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense. So what? It's 4th down. There's only a couple 3 seconds left on the clock. They're going to tell them to put 3 seconds back. Now, again, now if you're Pearl River, you line up 3 men on one side, you throw it down there, and maybe you get the right tip and you score. This is a really poor decision on the Delta's part as the Wildcats were obviously ready to go into the locker room.
Pearl River huddling up over there to discuss this. Coach Egger's parents are watching from Hornell, New York. We understand it's a little chilly up there in the 607 area code.
It is down here too, Kelly. I mean, it's 72 and sunny.
Yeah, for us. For us, that's cold. You almost feel guilty paying $30 for a pullover when you wear it about 3 days a year.
And Tavis Williams, who can throw the football farther than Cooper Callis, has checked in. So the Wildcats are going to try, most likely, to just launch one down the field and hope for the best.
At the 50-yard line, you'd think that the Trojans will bring the blitz. They do. Tavis does sling it down the field. It is in the air and incomplete. Nobody is able to bring that one down. 21-0 Pearl River at half. They look terrific. The Hardee's halftime show coming up your way in just a moment. brought to you by Hardee's, where we'll be talking with Mark Franklin, our producer here on our webcasts each year. We'll be talking about the other sports that you'll be able to see on prccmedia.com. Captain D. David Sutton will join us with his latest installment of the Captain's Log, and then the last half of football for Pearl River for the 2018 campaign will come your way. But the news is good for Moorhead. It's the Wildcats 21, the Trojans nothing. Back with more in a moment. You are watching Wildcat football on prccmedia.com.
Hey, I'm Delana Harris from Pearl River Community College, and like football, life takes a great game plan, the right tools and equipment, and having an encouraging coach always helps.
At PRCC, we have full academic offerings for the first 2 years of college and over 40 career and technical education programs.
With personalized advising and a student-instructor ratio of 17-1, creating your game plan for success is easy.
So come join our team at Pearl River Community College and enroll with the Maroon and Gold.
We want to thank you for quickly making Pine Belt Chevrolet one of the area's biggest dealerships. We're selling a lot of vehicles because you're finding out the best price and best service are right here. And during Truck Month, you get 18% off all 2018 Silverado 1500s, plus 90-day deferred payment, and 14% off all 2018 Tahoes, or choose from a big selection of certified pre-owned. New Pine Belt Chevrolet, Highway 98 West at Bellevue. Count on it.
Southern Miss to the top. Let's go Eagles!
It's another exciting year as we support the Golden Eagle team.
We're all in for Southern Miss football.
How about you? You'll find the best teams for customer service and price at Pine Belt Chevrolet, Courtesy Ford, and Pine Belt Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. From tough trucks to your favorite SUVs to performance and fun, we're all in for you.
Southern Miss to the top. Southern Miss to the top. Let's go Eagles!
Back at Jim Randall Stadium on the campus of Mississippi Delta Community College in Moorhead, where the Pearl River Wildcats lead Delta 21-0 at half, the last regular season contest for both of these teams, as they will begin planning for 2019 after this one today. But it'd be a great way for Pearl River to end the season, and they're playing especially well on really both sides of the ball. They've been stifling defensively and playing well offensively, and Captain D will tell you how coming up a little bit later with his installment of the Captain's Log. Our halftime show is always brought to you by Hardee's, a big supporter of Pearl River Wildcat Athletics. Hardee's, near downtown Poplarville, voted America's best tasting hamburger again this year. Hardee's, don't forget that you can use your student ID and faculty staff ID for discounts every day, whether it's Hardee's or the Red Burrito. Don't forget those discounts each and every day. Hardee's, sponsors of our halftime show. Joining us now is executive producer Mark Franklin.
That's more like it.
Yes, there you go. Wow, and what a voice! Mark Franklin ought to be doing play-by-play with that kind of voice. Actually, Mark, first year at Pearl River, actually in the sports information department. Tell us how that all came about. And really, you're a local boy to begin with, right?
Yeah, born and raised in Pearl River County. Went to Pearl River Central High School and went to Pearl River Community College shortly after that. Spent 2 great years there and transferred up to Ole Miss. Spent 3 great years in Oxford.
Do you remember any of them?
Of course, studies came first, football and all
yes,
that
of
other
course,
shenanigans came second.
Right.
But, and I got involved in the sports information department up there, and Kyle Campbell, the head sports information director, they're just so interactive with student assistants and volunteers, and they were able to help me build connections. And at first when I went to school, I thought I wanted to go into broadcast journalism, but when I started to get interested, I realized that, sports information, it's actually a career path. I was, got really interested in that. And, as about a couple months, like a month, I think, before I took my last class, this was in June of this year, I got a screenshot text from my mom, and it was her telling me that a sports information job at PRCC opened up, and I was like, really? And sent my email and my application in to Jeff Long, our athletics director, and I got a call back, and, we kind of had a great series of conversations, and one thing led to another, and here I am.
So a lot of people don't really know, they've heard the term sports information director, but a lot of people don't necessarily know all the jobs that fit under that umbrella. Kind of educate us a little bit.
Well, it's a versatile job title for sure. People think sports information director, they immediately assume statistician, which isn't always the case. I mean, obviously recording stats is a huge part of it, but, influencing, taking over social media, coming up with fresh ideas, fresh content to put out there, nominating your players for academic and athletic awards, making sure coaches and players are prepared to interact with the media. And, just alone, when I applied for this job, I didn't know that, producing our live stream would even be part of it. And sure enough, in the first interview, actually, Jeff asked me, if I was a tech-savvy guy, and I was like, no, but I can be. I played an Xbox when I was in high school, but that was about it. And, he was like, well, could you learn this? And, for me, it's one of those things, the more different things I can do, kind of the more feathers I can get under my cap, and that just makes you more useful.
Well, you guys better know the tech part of it, because Captain D and I, us old fossils, we certainly don't know it. And we talked about how you do produce the live stream. There's so much equipment that you're responsible for. You're responsible for lining up students to run the cameras, making sure people are where they're supposed to be at a certain time, making sure that something as simple as a cell signal can be caught, because some of the areas of Mississippi, obviously, including Moorhead, with all due respect, are a little bit remotely located, and sometimes the cell signals aren't exactly what you need them to be. That equipment is working, everybody's where they're supposed to be on time. It just doesn't seem like it ever stops, and it's not just football, because now you've finished soccer, you've got basketball coming up, so the bop never stops.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, the grind does never stop, especially when you're in the school year. If sports information directors do get sort of a break, it's in that little summer span where college is off and whatnot, but I love it. I told Patrick, probably our first or second week,
Patrick Oakes.
Yes, the beloved Patrick Oakes, my coworker. Anyways, it was like our second week in, and we'd worked like 2 soccer games and a football game, and we were getting in at like 12 at night, but I told him, I was like, man, it is a grind, but I love it. It's just, you got to have a passion for it, and me and Patrick do. We love working in sports. It's really, Pearl River's given us a great opportunity here.
Is it the statistical part of sports you like, or just are you a sports fan in general?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I try to, at first, obviously, I started out as a fan like everyone did as a kid. But then, when you start to look at, there's layers of knowledge in sports. I tell people, you can, and I like to think I'm working in sports, that makes you a little bit more savvy with, the ins and outs of it. But then, you interact with some of these coaches, and you talk to them for about 5 minutes, and you realize, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm watching out there, because it's just a perspective. But yeah, stats always interested me, and obviously football is everyone's baby, but because we're in the South, and rightfully so. But as far as basketball, baseball, always had a passion for those. And one thing that really has given me a great opportunity to interact with, soccer more is, me and Patrick being able to broadcast our soccer games. I had to kind of learn that on the fly, and it helped me better understand the game. Because I did get to work a couple of soccer games at Ole Miss, but that was mainly doing stats and just doing, substitutions. This, where I got to kind of break down the game and kind of talk the audience through, and that just put more and more layers of knowledge for me.
Soccer is a cool sport. If people haven't, had an opportunity to, and lots of times it's just too stinking hot. particularly the JUCO level when they're playing, in August and September. It gets but to the high school level, it's more of a winter sport. All right, so you get all this electronic equipment thrown in front of you, and I know how it goes. It's just look, figure this out, Patrick. You gotta make this work. So far so good. I must tell you, not to be patronizing, but it's very it's been exceptional for me and David just to be able to come to the press box and your staff hand us our headphones, and here's your headphones, Mr. Sander. Here's your headphones, Mr. Sutton. And when the game's over, the game is over for us, and it makes it very easy for us, and we can focus on other things. So thank you, and you're getting better as each time goes on too. I'm guessing you're more comfortable, I guess, behind the wheel.
Yeah, it's one of those things. The only way you're going to get better at it is hands-on experience, and you can try to explain it the best you can, but it's almost like you got to throw them into the fire and they're going to sink or swim, which that analogy doesn't make any sense. But no, I mean, I've got to give credit to where it's due, though. My predecessor, Brett Russ, he's just been phenomenal throughout this semester. Anytime I've had a problem, I can easily just shoot him a text and he'll get back to me immediately. He's made this job a lot more easier because, it wasn't easy at first. I'm seeing all this technology, and I'm like, oh, man, this is a lot of different buttons, a lot of different cords. But, Brett's always been a phone call away, and, Wi-Fi Sports Network, the company that we use our live streaming through, they've been phenomenal. They have 3 contacts, Dave, Charlie, and Ryan, that, if I can't get Brett, I can easily call them, and they can patch in and kind of go step by step with me to fix the problem. And it's been great working with you guys. You guys always keep me laughing throughout the game, so it's been a fun season for sure.
So generally speaking, are we going to keep Patrick Oakes, or
yeah, I think we're going to keep him around. He annoyed me a little bit today, but, it's a love-hate relationship.
He's also in the sports information department. Lots of things to talk about and great things going on as our Hardy's halftime show continues. We are talking with Mark Franklin, our executive producer here on PRCCmedia.com. The Wildcats lead it 21-0 at half. Captain D. David Sutton will be along in a moment with our latest installment of the Captain's Log here, the last regular season game for both of these teams. So Mark, is it what you thought it would be? How is it like you thought it would be? How is it different than you thought it would be?
Well, it's a little different in the sense where when I was volunteering at Ole Miss, I could come into that office for probably about 2 hours a day. Whereas, when this is a full-time job, there's always stuff that you need to work on because, whether it be our website, whether it be our social media, whether it be, coming up with ideas. And I got to give Patrick credit. He's really kind of shown me the way about how to be creative, how to push the envelope, how to try new things and not be afraid to fail. And I think we're doing just a great job at that. But it is like as fun as I thought it would be. All my friends, they mess with me. They're doing stuff with their Saturdays, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to Moorhead. And they're like, you're going to Delta? And I was like, you know what? You're darn right I'm going to Delta. I'm going to go watch PRCC play Delta.
Good for you.
It's going to be great. So
yeah, I mean, there's always later on tonight.
Yeah.
It's not but about a 3-hour drive. Well, continued success, and we've enjoyed working with you, and it's great for us to continue to be part of the family, and glad to have you on board as well.
All right, appreciate it, man.
21-0, Pearl River leads Delta at half. When we come back, Captain D. David Sutton will tell us how we got to 21-0. We'll look at other scores from around the MACJC and look at the playoffs coming up next week. That's still to come as the Hardy's halftime show continues. You're watching Wildcat Football on PRCCmedia.com. The Hardee's halftime show continues from a brilliant Moorhead, Mississippi today. The sun smiling down upon us. Beautiful, cool, nice breeze coming through the press box windows here, and so far the news has been really good. Pearl River leading the Delta 21-0. The Wildcats and Trojans loosening up, ready for a second half of play in which the Pearl River Wildcats will get the football to begin the second half of play. Again, 21-0. How we got here is David Sutton's job to tell us how, and here's the latest installment of the Captain's Log.
Well, you've heard of a phrase, save the best for last. The Pearl River Wildcats have done just that, as they have saved their best performance of the season, both really offensively and defensively, for last in a dominant first half. Everything going Pearl River's way. The Wildcats started out the scoring on the very first possession. They were able to get a 1-yard touchdown run from Ron Thompson. The PAT was good. 7-0 Pearl River. That drive was a 15-play, 81-yard masterpiece in which they basically broke down the yardage. Obviously, an 81-yard drive, you can't be dead even, since that's an odd number, but literally almost exactly as much throwing and passing yards on a really nicely led drive by Cooper Callis, and all that led to was another defensive stop, and the Wildcats did it again. This time it was a brilliant pass. Callis rolling to his left, put a perfect pass in the corner of the end zone with 3 defenders chasing Tyler Polk, but Polk was the only one who was able to catch it in the corner, and he did just that, sliding just inside the pylon. PAT was good, and at the end of the first quarter, that touchdown happening at the 2:54 mark, the Pearl River Wildcats were ahead 14-0. The Delta actually had 2 big-time scoring opportunities in the second quarter, the first of which was after a 32-yard scramble by the quarterback McAfee for the Delta all the way down. We'll call it the 1-yard line, but it was actually inside the 1-yard line. But 2 plays later, after the Delta went to the Wildcat formation and the snap was mishandled, and then a fumble recovery by the Wildcat defense, and the Pearl River defense was able to turn away the Delta, despite the fact that they were less than a yard away from putting some points on the board to keep that 14-0 score. But then on the very next possession, the Pearl River, the offense turned the football over, and the Delta was able to take the football over at the 15-yard line. So they started the drive in the red zone, but 1 play after that, the Pearl River defense calmly walked right back out on the field, stripped the running back of the football, and got one of their 3 turnovers of the first half, 2 fumble recoveries and an interception, and the Wildcats then went on the march offensively and really gave themselves some breathing room, ending with a 3-yard touchdown pass from Cooper Callis to Donovan Hickman at the 3:11 mark. 21-0 is our score at the half. The individual statistics, boy, they look really good for Pearl River. Cooper Callis, a coming out party here in the final game of the season. 18 of 26 for 261 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Folks, he only had 535 yards passing on the season coming in. 261 in 2 quarters of play in a nearly perfect first half. Tyler Polk led the way. He's led the way all season, both in receptions and yards and touchdowns for the Wildcats, and he's got 6 receptions. That leads the team. 89 yards. That leads the team, and his 1 touchdown also breaks a tie with KJ Breland for the team lead there on the season as well. KJ Breland has actually been unfortunately ejected from the game. A couple of unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, but before he left, 5 catches for 85 yards. Keontae Payton has chipped in 3 for 47, and as I said a moment ago, don't want to leave out Donovan Hickman, 2 catches for 20 yards and a touchdown. 7 different Wildcats have caught the football as Cooper Callis has spread it around. Overall, the Wildcats dominating in total yards, 336 total yards for the Wildcat offense, 267 through the air, 69 on the ground, led by Ron Thompson, 12 carries for 49 yards. He also scored a touchdown in that first half. And the defense, boy, what a job the defense has done. Created 3 turnovers, put a 0 up on the scoreboard, which is obviously the most important part. But in the end, only giving up 33 yards on the ground, 84 through the air for a total of 87 yards. Even though the average starting field position for the Delta has been the 43-yard line. The Wildcat defense has held them off the scoreboard. Nice job by Pearl River on both sides of the football. Special teams have played well. Also, it's been a great performance for 2 quarters, but we have seen this before, Kelly. We've seen 2 quarters of good football. Maybe not this good, but we've seen 2 quarters of good football. We'll see if the Wildcats can make it 4 quarters of good football and finish it out here with a win at the Delta.
Our halftime is always brought to you by our friends at Hardee's Restaurant in Poplarville, always supporting Pearl River Wildcat athletics during basketball, baseball, and football as well, sponsoring our halftime show. Thanks to the crew at Hardee's. And don't forget, for that limited time, the Fruit Loop Breakfast Donuts, the mini donuts that look and taste just like the breakfast cereal. That's at Hardee's in Poplarville. We'll get to some scores around college football and the MAC-JC in just a moment, getting ready for play to begin here in the second half, as Delta will kick it off to Pearl River. The Wildcats leading this one 21-0, and kicking it away will be Spencer Romero, the freshman kicker for the Delta, as the Wildcats will work left to right as we begin the second half of play here this afternoon in Moorhead. Romero to boot it away. He does. It's a low liner that will be snagged at about the 5-yard line by Tyler Polk. Polk gets away from one man, now finds a meager hole, but gets across the 35 all the way up to about the 39-yard line. All in all, not bad starting position for Pearl River, leading in this game 21-0. Let's quickly go to the Anderson Design Center scoreboard from around the country today. Clemson defeated Florida State 59-10. 59-10 is that final in the in SEC play, and we'll have some other scores for you in a moment. Iowa State has defeated Texas Tech 40-31. Iowa State still alive for a Big 12 title. 1st and 10 here for the Wildcats, working left to right. Callis has a bad snap go over his head, and Thompson picks this one up and will now try to run with it. Gets to the outside, but is wrapped up back at the 17-yard line. Boy, you had to say it, didn't you, David? 2 good quarters of play, and then an ominous snap over the head of Callis on the first play from scrimmage.
And I know this is just statistics-wise, but what a shame, because actually Ron Thompson was hoping to get up to the 1,000-yard mark in this ball game, Kelly, but that actually goes all the way back since he scooped it up. It's a 19-yard loss on the play, and it goes, unfortunately, on his rushing totals.
Vanderbilt has defeated Arkansas 45-31. It was Michigan State 23, Purdue 13, Wake Forest 56, Louisville 35, as Callis is wrapped up at the 5-yard line and dumped. It looks like the Delta coming out smoking. Tyrese Wells with the tackle right there for Mississippi Delta. It's Pearl River has to get to the 48-yard line, and the ball is at the 9.
It is 3rd down and 40 as the Wildcats start the best starting field position of the afternoon, actually by a good bit at the 38-yard line. They've lost 30 yards in 2 plays.
Twin receivers to both sides of the field here. Pearl River just look for a screen maybe to get some yardage back and punt this football away. And it is caught here to the short side of the field. Hayden Bryce with the reception, but only got up to about the 15-yard line. And as right on cue, the Pearl River punting unit checks in here, and the Delta fans have come to life.
Hayden Bryce, actually the 9th different receiver to make a reception. But, yes, need a good punt right here and a stop on defense to not give Delta. Hey, look, you got Delta down. You don't want to give them any life. This is a team that's won 3 of their past 5 football games, and they want to go out, and their fans are wanting something to cheer for here.
Will Lang kicks this one away. It's a good boot that will finally turn over at about the 50. It's caught, no fair catch made, and the Pearl River special teams play of Kobe Cole, the freshman linebacker out of Madison Central, wraps him up. So they'll have a 55-yard field to work with. Also on the Anderson Design scoreboard, Southern Miss was beaten today at Charlotte 20-17. That's a big Conference USA loss for Southern Miss, who's trying to become bowl eligible, but it will become very, very steep climbing for Southern Miss the rest of the way if that is to happen. Again, Charlotte 20, Southern Miss 17. All of our scores brought to you by our friends at Anderson Design Center off of Highway 98 in Oak Grove in Hattiesburg. Alan Anderson, proud to be a Wildcat. 1st and 10 for Mississippi Delta. The Goose Egg still on the board with 12:43 left to go here in the third quarter. Tyreek McAfee out of McGee High School in at quarterback, wants to throw. He's under pressure. Now lobs it down the middle part of the field, and it is tipped away into double coverage. Stringfellow's had a good game for Pearl River today. They tried to find LeBaron Jones, the freshman wide receiver, but Stringfellow was there for the River Cats, and so was Damian Gray. The incompletion makes it a 2nd and 10 for the Trojans.
Stringfellow's had a lot of good games, but this might be his best. I mean, he has absolutely he's been challenged. They've thrown at him, and he's been up to the task nearly every time. Delta has not had problems in starting field position. Again, Kelly, the average starting field position the first half was the 43. This the 46, but they haven't been able to do anything with it.
On 2nd down, they'll try Jackson up the middle on the handoff to try to get a little bit of breathing room for that passing game. It is a pickup of about 3 as he plunges straight forward. Several Wildcats there to bring him down, including Reggie Williams, the linebacker. Brings up a 3rd down and 7 now for the Delta with 12:17 left to go here in the third quarter. Glad that you're with us here on prccmedia.com.
You know, Patrick Jackson is their leading rusher, Kelly, but he is averaging just under, believe it or not, 3 yards a carry. And in this ball game, 10 carries for 27 yards. That's 2.7. He's right about on his average.
Passing play coming up here, but look out. Nobody open, and the Pearl River wave comes in to bury McAfee. Great pursuit by the Wildcats, Kyron Norwood and Peyton Graham. Peyton Graham's having a good ball game as a freshman for Pearl River out of Poplarville High School.
Well, by no means was that a make-or-break possession, Kelly. We're still got a lot of time left in the second half, and it's a 21-point game, but that's a big stop right there because the Delta came out and got a 3-and-out, pushed Pearl River back, got a little momentum on their side, but again, the defense of Pearl River is saying, look, you're not going to be able to do anything with it.
Tried to put the block on, but they will kick it away from Stringfellow, and he will gladly let it go by under the watchful eye of the Trojans, who will kill it at the 15-yard line. So Pearl River will set up shop 1st and 10. Don't forget, you can always monitor your favorite team in the MACJC, the toughest league in America, by logging on to JUCOweekly.org. It's not just football statistics, but basketball coming up, soccer, softball, and baseball in the spring. They've got schedules, scores, statistics, everything you want to know, JUCOweekly.org. You can download their app, too, and go right to your favorite information that you want to see. Mike Frazier and his crew do a great job at JUCOweekly.org. You can log on to see for yourself. Cooper Callis and company now get to work here for Pearl River. Wildcats have a comfortable 21-point lead. They give it to Ron Thompson, but not a lot of room there. Might have struggled ahead for a gain of a yard. 2nd down and 9 coming up. Thompson, this his final game as a Pearl River Wildcat. We've heard other schools like Memphis, show interest in Ron, but I sure hope he gets a opportunity to go on to play because he's been a terrific member of this Wildcat team. His durability and strength has been an asset. Callis wants to throw. Does, and it's incomplete. He had along the sideline Keontae Payton, but he had to kind of turn around to make that grab and just couldn't hang on to it.
A little bit of a wobbly pass there thrown by Callis, but, could have been made. And had it been made, it would have been a really nice 15 to 20-yard pickup. But with the incompletion, another potential 3-and-out for the offense here as they are looking for their first down of the second half.
3rd down and about 8 now. Twins to the left and twins to the near side. Now Thompson comes wide right. Callis with an empty backfield, looks to throw, has to throw it toward the sideline and out of bounds. There was a man in the area, that was Keontae Payton, but that pretty much was just getting rid of it. And the punting unit comes in for Pearl River. So both teams spinning their wheels here offensively early in the third quarter with 10.5 minutes left to go.
It'd be interesting to see. Actually, Callis got up and hobbled off to the side. Now, he ran off under his own power, but It'll be interesting to see if Tavis Williams comes in on this next possession as he's went over and sat down on the bench.
This kick is away. Boy, Will Lang bombs that one across the 50-yard line. It takes a Pearl River bounce. And the Wildcats down it at about the 33-yard line under the watchful eye of Tyler Polk. A good punt by Will Lang. And this Trojan offense, which has really struggled today to try to find its identity at all with the 0 still up there on the board, will come back out here again to try to figure out this Pearl River defense, which has been unrelenting, particularly against Tyreek McAfee, the quarterback for Delta.
And again, on short fields, Kelly, what a nice job, though, by Will Lang flipping that field position. 50 yards on the punt with no return. But again, still 33-yard line. Good starting field position. The Wildcats haven't had Delta pinned deep at all this afternoon, but yet Delta still has not been able to score.
Tyreek McAfee hands it off to Jackson, tries the middle, nothing there, and he is dropped. Kendall Arrington, freshman defensive tackle from not far down the road at Stone County. With the tackle for Pearl River, a loss of 2 on the play, brings up 2nd down and 12, and it doesn't matter what they reach into the bag of tricks with, David. Nothing has worked.
Yeah, 18 carries for 24 yards running the football, but only 6 of 13 throwing for 54.
Clock moving with 9:50 left to go. McAfee outlet pass here at the 35-yard line made by Dijon Polk, and he was wrapped up immediately. They'll give him forward progress to about the 36, it would appear, and they have to get to the 44. So a 3rd down coming up, or the 43 maybe, 3rd down and about 7.
Good job of tackling, though, right there, Kelly. It's one of those plays where if you miss the tackle, it's a 15, 20-yard pickup, but you wrapped him up, stopped him for a 6-yard pickup. Still not the easiest conversion situation here on 3rd down and 6.
Wildcats have done much better tackling today. Once the initial hit has been made, they've done a good job of wrapping up and ending the runner's forward progress. McAfee is flushed from the pocket. He runs himself. Reggie Williams can't get him. Look out. Sprinting toward the sideline. I'm not sure anybody will get him. McGee is into the end zone, and that is a Delta touchdown.
Well, the 2 biggest plays that the Delta has had has been when McAfee has been able, under pressure, to escape the pressure in the pocket and find some daylight to run the football. A 32-yard run earlier in the ball game that ended on the 1-yard line. That one, though, 63 yards in the touchdown, and the Delta is on the board.
Man, you hate when something like that happens because your defense has been relentless all day long. And to let the quarterback just get free right up the middle, that's a tough break. But the extra point kick is up, and it is good by Spencer Romero. So hang on, it's 8:54 left to go in the 3rd quarter. Pearl River 21, the Delta 7. Back with the kickoff in a moment. You're watching Wildcat Football on PRCCmedia.com.
Get treated like family at the Poplarville Eye Clinic. Poplarville Eye Clinic can take care of your basic exam needs, and their professional staff treats dry eyes, allergy issues, pink eye, and glaucoma problems. Poplarville Eye Clinic offers pediatric exams and can fit regular and specialty contacts. Need glasses? Pick from brands like Ray-Ban, Coach, Nike, and Guess. Book your own appointment on their Facebook page or stop by 1249 South Main Street in Poplarville. Call 601-795-0137.
Checking other scores from around the MACJC on the Anderson Design Center scoreboard. Southwest leads Colin at half. That is a 14-10 score at Wesson. And Mississippi Gulf Coast leads Hines 31-24. They're in the middle of the 4th quarter. That game down in Perk. 31 for Gulf Coast, 24 for Hines. Romero to kick it away. Well, I thought he was going to kick it away. Now he starts toward the ball. And a thunderous kick here, goes back to about the 2-yard line and out of the end zone. Pearl River looking a little bit out of sorts here to begin this 3rd quarter. And Delta had been flatlining for most of the game, and now there's a faint pulse here. The 2-score game with 8:52 left to go in the 3rd quarter.
Well, Kelly, I mentioned it
Yeah,
because we've seen
I wish
it.
you wouldn't have.
We've seen it throughout the season, though, Kelly.
No, you're
We've
right.
seen shutouts pitched in the second half, but got behind too far in the first half. We've
Right.
seen good first halves, like in the first game of the season, up 20 against Itawamba, not able to finish it out. The Wildcats, except for Southwest, have not put together 4 quarters of football, and there is Tavis Williams in the ball game here on this third possession of the second half.
Fakes the handoff, runs it himself. Started up the middle and then to the right side, and he is swarmed under at the 24-yard line. Couple of guys, Treshad Smith and Rayshawn Warren, were there to bring him down. No gain on the play, brings up a 2nd down and 10, and you can really feel that Big Mo, momentum has shifted to the side of the Trojans here with 8:28 left to go in the third quarter.
And right now it looks like the team switched uniforms at the half as well. I mean, this looks like the Pearl River defense the way that they played in the first half.
Everybody jumping across the line. The question is, were they drawn off?
It's offsides, so the Wildcats will get 5 right there and make this a much more manageable 2nd down situation.
So there the penalty going against the Trojans. That playbook gets a little bit thicker on 2nd and 4. Lots of different things that you can run here. The times that Pearl River has tried to throw downfield have been pretty successful. Give and go up the middle to about the 35-yard line, still short of the first down by about a yard. But Ron Thompson trying to get those numbers up there as he tries to become the 5th leading rusher in Pearl River history. 3rd down and short. Tavis Williams at the control. Again, no, I thought it was to Thompson again, but Tavis kept it himself, and he is dumped for a loss on the play. It forces Pearl River into a 4th down, and here comes the punting unit.
Well, sometimes on the read option, you read it wrong. I mean, he should have given the ball to Ron Thompson right there, but by keeping it, the defenders for the Mississippi Delta had him covered the whole way, a 4-yard loss. And as you said, Kelly, going to give the ball right back to the Delta. This is their 3rd possession of the second half, and there's a ball off the side of Lang's foot, and this is barely going to be 10 yards down the field.
They'll spot it at the 38, looks like about the 38-yard line. Now Big Mo is definitely on the side of Delta. And remember, this is a Delta team that is a couple of breaks short of being in the playoffs, folks. In the playoffs in the North Division.
That punt started, the line of scrimmage was the 30-yard line, so it was a single digit, a 9-yard punt. And this is the 2nd time the Delta has started in Pearl River territory. And once again, they have had short fields literally every time they've had the football.
They spotted it at the 39 officially. We'll see now what happens. McGee slings this ball toward the sidelines. It's incomplete, or McAfee rather. McAfee's passed down to about the 30-yard line. The intended receiver there was LeBaron Jones, but I can't help but think that that was just a desperation heave as he was beginning to feel the heat of the Pearl River pursuit. 2nd down and 10. Incompletion stops the clock with 7:12 left to go here in the third quarter. Final game of the regular season. Somebody's going to end the season on a happy note as they begin plans for 2019. Pearl River leading 21-7. Jackson tries the right side, nothing there. Back to the left side and gets down to the 31-yard line. Might be just shy of the first down, but good yardage there.
You'd have to think this is 4-down territory as well, Kelly. I mean, you're down 2 scores. You're kind of in that position where you're too far for a field goal. And so on 3rd down and 3 or 4, barring some sort of big loss right here, if the Delta doesn't get this, I think they definitely are going to use both downs to try to move the chains.
But in the first half, the offensive wagon they were pulling had really squeaky wheels, and now things are much better for Delta here on 3rd down and about 3. McAfee wants to throw. Does. His ball is tipped. Nice job by the defensive line at Pearl River. Would have all the defensive coaches tell you as you're coming into the quarterback, if you're not going to get him, you see he's going to throw, get your hands in the air. It was deflected out of the air, and it brings up that aforementioned 4th down and 3.
Yeah, and the offense is obviously staying on the field. No movement to any sort of a kicking game, and that really was. It was it was perfectly done, Kelly. Not only getting the hands up, but in the throwing lane to knock that ball down. Big 4th down play coming up.
6:26 left to go in the third. Pearl River leads 21-7, but a resurgent Mississippi Delta offense has a 4th down play here, and there's movement on the right side of the line. It's Byron Clayton, the redshirt freshman who is 6'7", 385 pounds.
Can't hide.
Which means but one thing. You're going to have to tell him he was the guilty party. So the punting unit comes in for Delta now on a 3rd and 8, or 4th and 8.
That just wasn't a penalty. That was a big penalty. So instead of going for it, they have the punting unit on, going to try to pin Pearl River deep, but the Wildcat defense looks like it has at least turned away the Delta for the moment.
But Byron Clayton's coaches are saying, don't move when you're standing on the line, please. Their ball goes out of bounds at about the 12-yard line. See where they spot it, the 11, actually. And Pearl River gets back to work with 6:19 left to go in the third. You can't help but think that any type of score for Pearl River would take all the wind out of the sails here for Mississippi Delta.
But, and especially at 14 points, Kelly, I mean, even a field goal stretches it back out to a 3-score game. And if you're the Delta, you kind of feel like, golly, we played so well. We've gotten possessions in Pearl River territory. We've scored once, but if Pearl River can just get 3 on the board, it will pretty much erase everything they've done.
Cooper Callis out of Jackson, Missouri, back in the ball game, lofts this one to Justin Mary, the tight end, who runs north and south, and Justin Mary has scored it out of bounds, but not until he gets across the 30 to about the 34-yard line. So Justin Mary, who is a good blocker, but also with a nice set of soft hands, is able to pull that one in and garner a big gain for the River Cats.
21 yards on the pickup, and Justin Mary, he's now got 36 receiving yards. I mean, pretty much everyone over there on the roster for the Wildcats has a reception. Again, an amazing job here by Cooper Callis today, and by far his best performance in a Wildcat uniform, as we have a Delta player all the way over on the Pearl River side of things where Justin Mary was tackled, who's down.
Don't forget, you can always keep up with all of the Wildcat sports teams at PRCC Athletics. You can follow them on social media. The basketball teams begin the season this coming Thursday night. That's the night after Trick or Treat. That's Thursday, November 1st. Gosh, where has the year gone? November 1st, the Delgado Dolphins will come to Poplarville. The women will play first and the men will play second as basketball season gets underway this coming Thursday night. Always enjoyable basketball nights at the White. And the injured player down there is Antonio Boyd, the sophomore defensive back, but hope it's just a cramp or something like that, but he's walking under his own power.
Kind of a peg leg walk there, so like you said, hopefully a cramp, but you never know. That could be something in the knee area. So in the last game especially, you hate to see anybody get hurt, but a quarter and a half away from the end of the season, that even makes it a little bit more painful.
So the Wildcats have a first down on the nice pass and catch to Justin Mary. 1st and 10 for Pearl River. Again, Cooper Callis, the freshman out of Jackson, Missouri, hands it off right straight up the middle. Ron Thompson with a nice gain across the 45 up to the 47-yard line. That looks like about a, 14-yard gain maybe for Ron as the numbers continue to stack up for the sophomore running back out of Bassfield.
Yeah, very nice pickup. And again, that kind of makes up for that unfortunate loss that he had to do on the bad snap earlier. He's up to 50 yards on the afternoon.
Callis wants to throw. This one is up high, but jumping up and making the reception along the far sideline for Pearl River is Keontae Payton. Another reception for him as he gets out of bounds after picking up 8 yards.
4th catch on the afternoon, and Cooper Callis is just a couple of yards short of the 300-yard mark on the afternoon.
Clock is moving for Pearl River, who leads at 21-7. Callis, the exact same play and the exact same result, and this will net in a first down for Pearl River. And I think, again, it was Keontae Payton with the reception, was it not? Or was that the tight end Donovan Hickman? I think it might have been Hickman with the reception. So it is a first down for the Wildcats. As they move the chains, just working quietly. Callis pump fakes and has a receiver open down at the 15-yard line, and corralling it for Pearl River is Keontae Payton. That is Payton. He was pushed out of bounds by Jacob Crum, and that's a first down. Or Kyle Cass really on the tackle. Kyle Cass, the defensive back, making the play, but it's a big gain for Pearl River as they move all the way down to about the 13-yard line. And again, working quickly. Cooper Callis should have handed it off, but he gets thrown down for a sack.
Actually, I think he got a pretty good spot on the deal. It looked like about a 7-yard loss. They're only going to give him about 4 or 5, but he had no chance right there. It's a run-pass option, but you've got to look. If you don't read it correctly, that can happen. And as you said, now whether it was a true run-pass option or just a play-action pass, we don't know from up here. But if it was, obviously, not giving it to Ron Thompson cost the Wildcats a few yards right there.
Daniel Peppers on the tackle from his linebacker position for the Delta. Boy, to be a linebacker named Peppers, that's not too bad. Hand off to Thompson. Thompson lowers those pads and gets inside the 15, back down to about the 14-yard line. Pearl River can get a first down at about the 4, so I think they'll get back to the original line of scrimmage with a third down coming up and the clock moving with 3:44 left to go here in the third quarter. Pearl River trying to make this a 3-score game.
Yeah, I was going to say, Kelly, remember what we said to start this drive. 3 points is big. Don't want to do anything crazy right here. A touchdown would be awesome, but 3 points would be almost just as good to stretch it back to a 3-score game.
Ron Thompson in the ball game. Callis with that second clap has a receiver that he was trying to get it to, and if there could have been a flag there actually on Keontae Payton.
Well, I was going to say, though, the defensive back Colton Mallard Wilson, he had a whole lot of jersey in his hand, too. Either way, there was a lot of hand fighting, and maybe all in all, a good job of the referee not to throw the flag because both of them were really kind of jostling with each other there around the pylon.
So a big field goal attempt coming up here for Pearl River. This will be about a 32-yard attempt for Will Lang. From the other hash, held by Max Crawford. This is blocked. And Pearl River, who has really struggled this year on kicking at times, gets another one blocked, and the Trojans turn Pearl River away.
Yeah, Will Lang now 4 of 8, but again, can you blame that on him? And because Peppers just kind of flew through the line and was there. It wasn't like he kicked it low. I think the ball was basically blocked almost right off the foot of Lang. The Wildcats actually fortunate. How many times do you see that thing ricochet backwards and it's a scoop and score on top of it? At the very least, one of the worst starting field positions of the day for the Delta as they have to start at the 20.
McAfee hands it off to Jackson as they try the sweep to the right side. Do get about 7 yards over the right side. Making the tackle for Pearl River is Kendall Arrington.
That's a shame right there, Kelly. That was a really nice drive that the Wildcats had put together, getting into the red zone and giving themselves that opportunity to give themselves that 17-point lead. But, again, give the Delta some credit. This is the last ball game of the year. It's not even a divisional game. It doesn't mean anything. They are playing just as hard as the Wildcats are all the way to the finish.
But you have to spin it on the good side for Pearl River. It definitely burned some clock. McAfee looking to the sideline for his receiver and overthrew Raheem Moore, who was the intended receiver, but Ron Baker had it covered for Pearl River, and really, Captain D. David Sutton, the secondary today for Pearl River has been pretty doggone good.
All across the board. Stringfellow has been great. Baker has been very good. McAfee, again, he came in completing around 57% of his passes for 1,234 yards. He's 7 of 17 for only 60 yards so far.
Third down. And about 3, the incompletion stopping the clock at 2:35 left to go in the third quarter. Pearl River by 2 scores, and we've got movement all over the place on both sides of the line. It was clear that John Rister, the freshman offensive tackle, the 6'7", 365er,
Well, they're going to say, though, they're pointing at Pearl River that the
defense,
that Corey Jackson's coming into the neutral zone was what caused the movement by the offensive lineman. So that's a freebie. On a 3rd down and 3, you give them 5, and Pearl River, the 8th penalty against the Wildcats here this afternoon, is given a free 1st down to the Delta.
So as well as the defense has played, you're making life a little bit more difficult for yourself when you give them a free play like that. So the chains move, and it's a 1st and 10 for the Trojans. Working right to left at the 33-yard line, 1st and 10. Twins to the left side of the field. They fake it to Jackson, throw a little in pattern, and it's caught. Nice job by Zion Washington, the wide receiver, to make the grab, but good tackling there by Savara Snow, who comes up with the grab. Again, good tackling today by Pearl River. Snow wrapped him up and threw him to the ground all by himself.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's one of those that's a really good pass and a really good catch, but it was dangerous. I mean, you threw it in there where if that was off the mark at all, Pearl River may have been the ones that came up with that one, but a really nice throw and catch there from McAfee to Washington.
It's a gain of 8, 2nd down and 2. McAfee wants to throw, has time, lofts this downfield, and overthrows 2 receivers that were in the area. Raheem Moore was working his way down there, as was Tommy Washington. But again, the defensive coverage for Pearl River, excellent. Stringfellow was in the area back there to make a play.
Well, just like that reception a moment ago, Kelly, it had to be a perfect pass and a really good catch. I mean, there are so few windows for McAfee to throw in, and right there again, both of the receivers who were streaking down the field were blanketed on coverage all the way down into, well, it would have been the pass was about 40 yards down the field, and stride for stride, the secondary of the Wildcats was with them the entire play.
Damian Gray had to cover somebody as a linebacker there and did. The catch is incomplete, thrown to the near sideline for Zion Washington. The Wildcats sniffed it out, and Corey Jackson flocked to the ball right there.
And Baker, though, was all over it as well. Again, how many times can you say these quarterbacks' names? They are, every time they've been challenged, they've been up to the challenge, it seems, through the entire ball game.
Lane McGregor will come in to punt it away for the Trojans, who trail 21-7. The only points this half have been put up by Mississippi Delta. McGregor will kick it away at about the 30-yard line, and Stringfellow in punt formation, but Stringfellow has to look dead into the sun here now in Moorhead on this brilliant Saturday afternoon. That's kind of a thud that hits at about the 30 and rolls out of bounds at about the 20. So we'll depend on where they spot it.
That was ugly but effective, was it not? It actually hit all the way back around the 34, 35-yard line and found its way inside the 20 as they'll spot that at the 19-yard line. A very nice punt. And if there's one thing Pearl River hasn't had, is good starting field position once again. I mean, 3 of their 5 starting spots in the second half, Kelly, have been the 15, the 11, and the 19. Their average starting field position in the first half was the 22.
1:40 left to go in the third quarter. Pearl River could use a nice long drive here, if nothing else. Callis at quarterback gives it to Thompson. He can't find anything to the left, and he is drowned by a sea of red jerseys over there. Jerry Lee Smith, the defensive back, with the tackle, a loss on the play, and a big loss on the play of about, 6 yards, maybe 5 yards, depending on the spot. 5 yards, 2nd down and 15.
The Delta has been susceptible on the season, Kelly, giving up almost 200 yards on the ground per game. But today, they have locked it down against Pearl River, only allowing 49 rushing yards so far.
2nd down, fakes the swing pass, and now Callis will run it himself, but maybe gets back to the line of scrimmage. Pearl River's offense has done nothing here in the second half, as he got squashed by Rashawn Williams, and I say squashed because the 6'2 freshman tips the scales at about 3 bills at 6 feet tall. So 40 seconds left to go in the third quarter. 3rd and about 15 for the River Cats, who lead 21-7.
Third quarter winding down here, but boy, in this 3rd and long situation, you almost just want to maybe do a little screen. We've seen that before, or just a handoff, basically. it just seems like the Wildcat defense is playing so well that the only way the Delta is going to win this game is if the defense or special teams of the Trojans is able to come up with something big.
There's a penalty marker down, and I think Pearl River's going to get whistled for delay of game. I think the snap took place after the play clock went to 0. So we'll see. The line judge threw that flag, though, so maybe he did get it off in time. It is an illegal shift on Pearl River.
That'll be declined, though, and the clock will wind after just the 2-yard pickup by Thompson. That probably is going to be the final play of the third quarter.
8 seconds left to go. The punting unit comes back in for Pearl River. So the Wildcats, after clicking on all cylinders, really sputtering here in the third quarter. But again, this play will not be kicked away until the end of the quarter, and Pearl River will make Delta look into the sun on the punt return. 3 quarters in the books here in Moorhead today. It's Pearl River 21. The Delta 7 back with the fourth quarter of the final game of the season. After this timeout, you're watching Wildcat football on prccmedia.com.
Southern Miss to the top. Let's go Eagles!
It's another exciting year as we support the Golden Eagle team.
We're all in for Southern Miss football.
How about you? You'll find the best teams for customer service and price at Pine Belt Chevrolet, Courtesy Ford, and Pine Belt Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. From tough trucks to your favorite SUVs to performance and fun, we're all in for you.
Southern Miss to the top. Southern Miss to the top. Let's go Eagles!
So we head to the fourth quarter as teams move to the other ends of the field here at Jim Randall Stadium on the campus of Mississippi Delta Community College. Kelly Sander with Captain D. David Sutton and executive producer Mark Franklin.
Third quarter stats, Delta 83 yards of total offense to Pearl River's 36. 69 of that, though, was rushing, but remember, 64 was that big, long scramble play. So, again, besides that one scramble, the Wildcat defense, again, locking the Delta offense down.
And Lang, another punt that is not one of a punt that he would like to remember. In fact, he'd like to forget it because this one will be spotted at about the 33-yard line.
Once again, the battle of field position hasn't been won by the Delta. It's been dominated by the Delta. Once again, the Wildcat defense is going to have to play defense with a very short field behind it.
21-7 our score. The fourth quarter of the regular season looking for a building block for 2019 as Delta was eliminated from playoff contention last week. But final game of the year for the sophomores on both sides of the field. 1st and 10, Tyreek McAfee out of McGee High School at the quarterback position. Hands it off up the middle to Patrick Jackson. Jackson is just a freshman, so he's got another year left on his contract as he bulldozes his way across the 35 down to about the 33, depending on the spot. Delta in no hurry here because a touchdown would make it back to a one-score game.
Yeah, but they really need to cash in on this one. You'd have to think that. Again, this is the second possession of the half that they've started in Pearl River territory. One at the 39, one at the 35. They were turned away the last time they had that opportunity. There's only so much time and so many possessions left in this ball game.
They give him 1 yard on the play. McAfee now quickly rolls to his right, wants to throw, lofts this one downfield. He's got a man, and it's caught at the 5-yard line. LeBaron Jones had man-to-man coverage. Kyron Norwood was back there in pass coverage for Pearl River, but a perfect strike down to the 2. And Delta, they'll spot it at about the 3.5, but Delta has a first down, goal to go.
And you described it, Kelly. That was just a absolutely perfectly thrown ball. To put that ball with the loft, with the touch, and right to the area as he's running away from pressure was a spectacular throw by McAfee.
Again, 1st and goal as the Trojans look to make this a one-score game. McAfee, direct snap to him. He wants to run. Gets to the right side. He dives, and it looks like his knee hits short. He wants the touchdown, but they will not give it to him. He'll probably get it on the next play if he runs it.
It was actually the Wildcat formation with Jackson, which really ruined an opportunity to score last time. But Jackson does come up just short, Kelly, and here we are again. The Wildcats have had a goal to go from the 1 in the first half, and were able to not only stop the Delta, but keep them completely off the scoreboard, trying to do it again here on 2nd and goal.
Thank you for that correction, David. Tyreek McAfee is actually here to the near side, lined up as a wide receiver. In the Wildcat, Jackson left side into the end zone. That's a Delta touchdown.
And there's only so many times a defense with this short of a field can hold you off the scoreboard. The Wildcats have done a great job so far, but right there, the lofted perfect pass from McAfee to Jones put him in position, and now an extra point away from making this just a 7-point ball game.
The Delta has put the points on the board in the second half. They're short a man here, it looks like, on special teams. Xavier Coleman, the tight end, will rush in here to try to fill in that spot. Still have plenty of time to get the kick away. 6 seconds on the play clock. Placement is down. This kick is up, and the kick is good. Romero is true. And so with 13:02 left to go in regulation, it's Pearl River 21, Mississippi Delta 14. The kickoff comes your way in just a moment. You're watching Wildcat football on prccmedia.com.
Get treated like family at the Poplarville Eye Clinic. Poplarville Eye Clinic can take care of your basic exam needs, and their professional staff treats dry eyes, allergy issues, pink eye, and glaucoma problems. Poplarville Eye Clinic offers pediatric exams and can fit regular and specialty contacts. Need glasses? Pick from brands like Ray-Ban, Coach, Nike, and Guess. Book your own appointment on their Facebook page or stop by 1249 South Main Street in Poplarville. Call 601-795-0137.
Well, the Wildcats' boat is beginning to take on water here. It has sprung a leak. And so far they've been able to maintain, but 14 points given up here in the second half. Pearl River's 21 in the first half.
We've heard of a tale of two cities. This has been a tale of two halves. I mean, it's been completely opposite. Pearl River dominating the first 2 quarters, the Delta doing it here in the second half.
But this is what you said in your captain's log, is that Pearl River's got to put 4 quarters together, not just 2. Taking it about the 12-yard line. For Pearl River, it's Tyler Polk breaking free. Tyler Polk cutting back to the middle, and for the first time in a long time, Pearl River will have half a field, but one of the Trojans is down writhing in pain at about the 48-yard line. And quickly the officials are telling the training staff for the Trojans to come out and have a look.
Yeah, it's a left leg injury, and whatever it is, it's not good. And and again, I just said a moment ago, when one of the Trojans was able to walk off the field, actually, although hobbling, how, look, an injury is one thing, but man, it's just a quarter and a half of football left. Now we're talking 13 minutes in the season, and you just hate to see any injury, much less one that looks like it's that painful.
And in the NCAA today, Penn State's quarterback McSorley was taken off the field against Iowa, and he is not expected to return, and that would be a big blow to Penn State if McSorley was not able to come back.
In this football game, Kelly, you said in a long time, actually, this is by far the best starting field position Pearl River has had. In fact, they've only had the ball outside their own 31-yard line, if you want to get specific, twice in the entire football game. Before this possession, Kelly, the average starting field position for Pearl River in the first half was the 22-yard line. In the second half, in the first 5 possessions, it's the 22-yard line. While the Delta in the first half, their average, this is average, starting field position was the 43 in the first half. It's gotten better. It's the 45 in the second half.
But I dare say if you go back and look at all the games that Pearl River has played this year, that has been a common thread.
Yeah, they have not won the battle of field position very often. You're right.
It seems like every week we're talking about, Gulf Coast starting at the Pearl River 38, the 44 at the 50-yard line. And we don't know the number of the Mississippi Delta player that is down, of course, being tended to there by medical personnel. While we get a chance, let's update you on the MACJC and the playoffs that will take place next Saturday, November 3rd. Northwest will play at Jones. Northwest, the number 2 seed from the north, playing at Jones, the number 1 team of the South. Colin, the second seed, which is being beaten today. It doesn't matter, but Colin, the number 2 seed from the South, plays at East Mississippi up at Scuba Tech. It is Kyle Cass, a defensive back, and he's not putting any weight at all on that left knee. And, boy, I hate those 3 letters when you're talking about knee injuries.
That end in a CL?
Yes.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if there's an A or an M or whatever you put in front of it. It's and you're right, Kelly. He's not. You could tell. You watch enough of these games. Unfortunately, sometimes you can guess a cramp. Sometimes you can guess something else. But this one you could tell immediately that it was not anything that he was going to get up and jump up from. And again, we wish him all the best because again, 1 quarter left of football. Oh man, that's so painful to see.
And usually players know that when something has happened, particularly down there with that ACL. Cooper Callis at the controls here now for Pearl River. They give and go. It's Jesse Purnell with a nice spin. Look at Purnell carrying people across the 45-yard line with him. They'll give him forward progress to the 44. Pearl River trying to extend a 7-point lead now, which has become very precarious because the Trojans have played a very inspired second half, and the Wildcats just hanging on here. 12:31 left to go. Hopefully they can put together a drive here and put some more points on the board.
Starting at the 50, Kelly, and again, they had a field goal blocked on their last possession. Any points you really feel like that might do it for the Wildcats.
To Purnell again. Purnell is the big, strong back. And we've got some, oh boy, and Pearl River's going to get whistled for a late push. Anquan Thomas, a sophomore guard for Pearl River. The play was over, and one of the Trojans did come in and kind of bump Anquan Thomas, but then Anquan Thomas gave him a strong push, and that's the one that the referee saw.
Well, Kelly, I'll be the glass half full guy here. I believe that this is a first down for the Wildcats, and I believe it's a post-possession call. So it should be a first down for Pearl River, depending on that spot. But if it's on the 40-yard line, that's a first down, and they'll mark it back 15 yards, but it will at least be 1st and 10. Because if they call it 3rd and short right here, what's going to happen, they're going to mark off the 15, but it's going to be 3rd and 15 or 16 yards to go, and going to be very difficult for the Wildcats to convert. But that ball's dead on the 40-yard line. This should be a first down.
Unsportsmanlike. Now he's pointing toward Delta. I guess they're going to give.
Oh, offsetting. That's a big break for Pearl River. So they offset, and the Wildcats did get the first down. That is the best case scenario out of what could have just happened right there. Pearl River really got a break.
Justin Mary in the lineup now for Pearl River. Asked the coach about Justin Mary when they went to recruit him. They said, nothing really we can put our finger on. I said, well, it's just something about Mary, I guess. And he winds up at Pearl River. I'll be here all week.
Yes.
Tip your waiters and waitresses. 1st and 10 for the Wild. You like that one, David, huh? It's tough to work.
Sometimes it's so bad it's good.
A tough room. Callis rolls to his right, wants to throw toward the sideline. A receiver coming back to try to make the catch. It was Bryce, the intended receiver, but incomplete as he can't come back to get it, and it stops the clock with 11:52 left to go here in the ball game. Pearl River clinging to a touchdown lead.
Obviously the game is in the balance, so some of these stats are obviously individual accomplishments, but Cooper Callis, 23 of 35, 322 through the air with a couple of touchdowns. His, again, saved the best for last by far. Just a spectacular performance so far, but in this tight ball game, they're going to need a little bit more out of the sophomore from Missouri.
Dwayne Lee in as a receiver. Callis hands it off up the middle. Here's Purnell with a burst of speed. Jesse Purnell working his way toward the end zone. He's caught from behind at the 5-yard line, but a big gain by the Poplarville Hornet as he has the Wildcats in business. 1st and goal at about the 5-yard line.
I would venture to say the only time today the offensive line has created that much of a space for the running game for Pearl River, now knocking on the door of a 2-touchdown lead.
They give it to Purnell again, trying to find an opening, and he weaves his way down for maybe another yard or so. It'll be 2nd down and goal. They'll spot him at about the just inside the 4-yard line with 11:22 each precious second that goes off the clock. It's better for Pearl River.
Purnell saving his best for last. Kelly, for the season, this is disappointing, to be quite honest. Purnell only 141 yards rushing on the season, but today 6 carries for 59 yards now as he's averaging just a shade under 10 yards a carry.
7 seconds left on the play clock. Pearl River's got to get busy here. 4 seconds on the play clock. 3, 2, and they do get the snap away. Purnell again. Short again.
And they're giving him no love on the lean either. It looked like he got it down to the 4 a moment ago. They marked it back at the 5. I thought he got that to the 2. It's back at the 3. Big 3rd and goal here coming up.
And I don't at all fault the Wildcat offensive coaches, Ryan Trevathan, trying to get Purnell the touchdown because he got them down to where they are. But they need some points here. 3rd down. Man in motion to the near side. They fake it to him, give it to Purnell again, and the Trojans were waiting on him, and down he goes for a loss on the play.
And they're going to have to send out the field goal unit. You would think, again, this would be just outside of what an extra point would be, but after the block, you wonder if Pearl River's going to try to go for it here. But after the loss, this is very difficult here on 4th and goal from all the way back at the 6.
No field goal unit. Ron Thompson checks in. Purnell goes out. 15 seconds left on the play clock. Big call here because if they don't convert, Delta's still within 1 score. 4 seconds on the play clock. They get it snapped. Callis to the left side has a man open but incomplete and tipped away at the last moment by Jaquanzi Johnson. The defensive back was able to get a read on it just well enough to bat it away at the last second. And the ball goes over on downs. The Delta within striking distance, just 7 points behind with 9.5 left to go.
Hey, there's no, I'm not, when I say this, I'm not coming up with any game plans anytime soon for these games. This coaching staff knows what they're doing, but in that decision to not kick the field goal right there, just because this one was blocked, that was no more than an extra point. You're already 3 for 3 on extra points. You need those 3 points. I just have to say I disagree with the decision not to try the field goal right there.
1st and 10 for the Trojans. We'll see how now they respond as they give it to Jackson, who gets a couple of yards before he was taken out of bounds. And any chance the Trojans get out of bounds, they should take advantage of it. With 9:25 left to go, that would maximize their usage of timeouts.
Well, you wonder if the Delta knows how to call plays. Their average starting field position for the ball game is the 44-yard line. They don't know what it's like to start a drive actually all the way back at the 7, so at least that's something positive for this Pearl River defense is they actually have a little grass behind them to protect.
It is a 2nd down and about 8 after the gain. McAfee on the handoff to Jackson again. Same play as he comes back this direction. McAfee with a stiff arm stays in bounds but does step 1 foot out of bounds at about the 25, but that'll move the chains. Delta not necessarily in any big hurry here, Captain D. David Sutton, because they're just a touchdown behind and they've got 8:51 left to go.
Yeah, there's no reason to be in a hurry, Kelly. I mean, obviously you want to get a score on the board, but you're talking well over 8 minutes left. You got plenty of time, all your timeouts. You just need a score. And so it doesn't really matter how long it takes you to get there, but a score and an extra point, they may go for 2 being at the end of the season here. It'll be interesting to see if they do score what they choose to do.
Tyreek McAfee hands it off up the middle, but Reggie Williams knew exactly what was going on. He was there with Jaden Ridgway to blow up that play. No gain at all on the play, brings up a 2nd down for the Trojans as the clock now working its way toward 8 minutes left to go in regulation. Pearl River leads this one 21-14.
And, kind of got to give credit to the Delta defense. What a stop they came up with just a moment ago. I mean, if Pearl River scores, that pretty much would have done it. But now they're right in this football game.
McAfee throws this ball up in the air, incomplete. Couple of guys battling for position. Raheem Moore was being covered by Eli Stringfellow. Stringfellow wound up on the ground and thought that he was interfered with. But I don't think either player was in any position to catch that ball either way.
Yeah, Moore just kind of pushed Stringfellow to the ground right there. I don't think either one of them knew the ball was coming until it was almost on the ground. So here comes a big third down play right here. If the Delta converts, they're moving toward midfield at the very least and on the move and has the momentum. The Wildcats can kind of at least stem the tide for the moment and get them off the field.
3 down linemen for Pearl River. McAfee across the middle. This pass is incomplete. He overthrew his intended receiver up at about the 37-yard line.
Overthrew him so much, Kelly, it almost went into the hands of a receiver who he wasn't throwing to, Raheem Moore, who no way was the intended receiver. That was Zion Washington, who the intended receiver was, but Moore nearly had that ball kind of plant in his hip. That would have been quite the bad break for Pearl River had that miraculous catch been made.
And when Zion Washington hit the turf after going up to make that catch, I think he knocked the wind out of himself, kind of came down in a bad way. So the Trojans kick this away. It's a low liner. Pearl River will get good field position here at about the 43-yard line. But can the Wildcats put any type of pointage up on the board to make this a 2-score game and end the season on a winning note? 7:34 left to go.
Their last 2 possessions have been in the red zone, if you remember that. I mean, they've gotten 2 chances to put 3 points on the board and get it back to a 2-score game. Well, actually, at the one time it would have been a 3-score game, but they just haven't been able to get them on the board. Credit the Delta defense for coming up with the stops, but also, it's a strike against the Wildcat offense here. Somebody's got to put some points on the board to put this game away.
Pearl River would love to get in the Red Burrito red zone one more time, and we've got some ugliness here before the play can develop, and this will go against Pearl River. It's a false start, and the Wildcats will be marched back 5 yards.
I tell you what, if the Delta ends up winning this game, it'll be one that for three and a half to 4 hours back to Pearl River, everyone will be shaking their heads. I mean, the Wildcats have played well enough to win this game. It's just they've been one play away, it seems like, for almost a quarter and a half now of winning, and they just keep letting the Delta hang around.
1st and 15. Cooper Callis at quarterback throws that little pass out to the tight end Donovan Hickman, who gets some blocks and gets the ball up to about midfield. He's about 3 or 4 yards short of a first down, but a nice gain there by the River Cats on the quick pass to Donovan Hickman.
We've seen that a couple of times in this ball game to Hickman, and it's worked well both times. That was a great pickup of nearly a dozen on 1st and 15.
2nd down now as we work our way towards 7 minutes left to go in this game. Quick pursuit. Callis again with that sidearm toss out to the right flat. It's incomplete, I believe. Yes, Hayden Bryce was the intended receiver, but Callis had to pull the trigger quickly as he was being pursued there. 3rd down now coming up for Pearl River, a big 3rd down play.
41st pass attempt by Pearl River, 38 of them off the right arm of Cooper Callis.
Man in motion to the near side. Look out. Isaac Gibson, I don't know where he was going. And he's patting his chest like that one's on me. Yeah, I would say so. I appreciate that, Isaac, but yeah, that one was on you, babe.
Hey, and when you need 4 on a big 3rd down, that was a big penalty right there. The clock is going to start back up, and the Wildcats are now into Delta territory, shortening this game, holding the football off the free 1st down.
Big play. Callis on the handoff to Thompson, tries the middle, nothing there, tries the far side of the field, and maybe got 3 or 4 on the play, depending on the spot. Hickman checks out. Justin Mary comes in for Pearl River with 6:46 left to go. Pearl River leading 21-14. In other college football games today, Southern Miss was beaten by Charlotte, 20-17 at Charlotte. The Eagles return home next week to take on the thundering herd of Marshall. Hotty Toddy has the weekend off, and Mississippi State hosting Texas A&M. I think that's a 6 o'clock start at Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville. 2nd down and 9. Callis wants to throw. Has time, but will roll to his right. Now dumps it down the field and incomplete. He was outside the tackle box. Of course, the Delta fans want intentional grounding.
Yeah, it's outside the tackle box. It was across the line of scrimmage, so There's no intentional grounding right there, but what there is here is a big 3rd down and 8. We're right back to a 3rd down conversion. That the Delta, now that clock's starting to become a factor. 6:19. They need to get the Wildcats off the field. Pearl River would love to keep that clock rolling and keep possession.
3rd down and 8. Callis under pressure gets his throw to the sideline. It's incomplete. Hayden Bryce was there, but he was out of bounds, and the punting unit will come in for Pearl River.
Even had he been inbounds, Kelly, when he made the catch, I don't know if you saw, but the back judge threw his hat down. He stepped out of bounds before the ball was even passed. So even if his 2 feet were inbounds when he made the catch, it would have been incomplete anyway as he was illegally on the field.
So Will Lang, who's had a couple of really good punts today and has hit a couple of clunkers.
A roller coaster.
Yeah, a couple of clunkers, but that's a good one, a great one. That'll come to this near sideline, take a Pearl River bounce sideways out at about the 15-yard line. So once again, the Pearl River defense will be called upon to stem the tide here with 6:05 left to go in the ball game, leading this one by a touchdown.
I mean, the total yards dominant in the first half. 21-0 score for Pearl River. The total yards all in favor, pretty much, of the Delta in the second half. The question is, can they come up with the 3rd score to either tie or go for the win? 6:05 to go, 85 yards between them and a score. This might be the defining drive of the ball game right here.
NFL action this weekend. The Saints will play up at Minnesota, I believe.
That's right, Sunday night game.
That'll be a big one for the Saints and the Vikings, 2 NFC contenders. McAfee rolls to his right, throws across the middle. He had his man there. Patrick Jackson had swung his way open out of the backfield, but he simply threw it too high. And one advantage that Pearl River has in this quarter, and I don't think you can understate it, Captain D, is that the Trojans are looking dead into this sun now. The sun is starting to work its way downward, and the Trojans are looking right into the teeth of it, which that can certainly affect your depth perception and all sorts of problems. So that's definitely a plus for Pearl River. 2nd down and 10 with 6 flat left to go. McAfee puts a man in motion and calls for the football. They'll run it this time to Jackson, but he made the huge mistake of running into Terrence Monroe, which you could also call Terrence the huge mistake. That is a big dude to run into there. The 6'6", 390-pound freshman out of Petal, Mississippi.
If you ever want to know what it's like to run directly into a wall, that was it.
Boy, Terrence is a big dude, isn't he? Third down, and about 9 here for the Trojans as the clock moving with 5:23 left to go. Can McAfee find anybody open? He evades one man, lofts it down the field looking for a receiver, and it is incomplete. They're looking for a flag, and now, oh man, come on.
But Kelly, it's late, but I agree with it. The contact was early. He didn't have his head turned around. Corey Jackson, it was a great pass. I'm with you on how late the flag came, but I just have to, again, this is just from my perspective. I agree with it. The contact was early.
And maybe I saw it with my heart rather than my eyes, but this will be a first down play for the Trojans when the Wildcats had them shut down and in a predictable punting situation.
Yet another 15-yard penalty. That, Kelly, one of these penalties was actually a half the distance, but that's the seventh 15-yard penalty against the Wildcats in this ball game.
5 minutes, 14 seconds left to go in the R word regulation. Pearl River leads by 7. Twin receivers each side as a fresh set of downs comes the way of Tyreek McAfee. We'll see how Scott Anderson, the offensive coordinator for Delta, former coach at Pearl River, calls this one. He's got Raheem Moore with a first down reception, a pickup of 12. Along toward that far sideline, Ron Baker had the coverage for PRC, but it's a Trojan first down.
McAfee is only 10 for 25, but if he can just come up with one drive is what they need. But remember, 3 does them no good, Kelly. As long as Pearl River can hold them out of the end zone, that's all this defense is trying to do here on this, what could be the final drive for the Delta in this ball game.
Wildcats put up 21 points in the first half, led it 21-0. But the Trojans have answered with 14 here in the second half and have kept the Wildcats out of the end zone. McAfee goes down, and probably on his own volition, because he would have gotten smoked. 3 Wildcats were in there beating down on him. Reggie Williams, the linebacker, Josh Booker Brown, the linebacker, they all wanted to get a lick in there on him. Jaden Ridgway was also in the area, and they had steam coming out of their ears and noses there. A loss of a yard on the play. 2nd down and 11. Clock moving with 4:12 left to go. Pearl River clinging to a precarious 7-point lead. McAfee wants to throw. He's got all kinds of time. Lobs it down the field looking for a man, and a penalty marker comes down again as they threw into double coverage. Marquise McCoy was the intended receiver. Pearl River will probably get flagged not only for pass interference, but another unsportsmanlike call, it would appear. Pearl River short-circuiting here, David.
Kelly, when you get double digits in penalties, the coaching staff doesn't like that. When you're literally a penalty away from being double digits in 15-yarders against you, that's unheard of, and the Wildcats just continue to pile things up, including having a player ejected in the first half. This probably is going to be 30 yards in penalties against Pearl River.
Never a good time, but especially when you're trying to cling to a 7-point lead.
That's at least the 5th of those that's unsportsmanlike conduct, and it is going to be 30 yards. So from the 43 of the Delta, the march goes on. I hear I don't know if you're familiar with The Price is Right, the yodeling game where the mountain climber, he just keeps going and going and going. It's going all the way to the Pearl River 27-yard line inside of 4 minutes left to go. The Delta is moving, but mostly 45 yards on this drive in penalties.
The Wildcats have got to keep their heads about them here. They're in the lead. 1st and 10. McAfee with momentum Pearl River's way, but Jackson is stuffed. Janarius Johnson got off of his block from the defensive line and wrapped him up for no gain on the play. 2nd down and 10. We'll see if it ignites this Pearl River defense to hang on with 3:42 and counting left to go in regulation. 2nd down and 10 for the Trojans.
It's 8 accepted 15-yard penalties. Overall, accepted penalties against Pearl River, 12 for 128.
Diamond formation, trip receivers to the right side. McAfee wants to throw. He's out of the pocket, but the Wildcats have got him wrapped up, and they'll bring him down at the 30, a loss on the play of about 4.
Great job right there with the pursuit and the pressure by the defense. They just came after him. They wanted to make McAfee make a quick decision, get it out of his hands quickly. And right now, it's been when he's had time, or made time, when he's been most effective. They want to come after him, make him see if he can make the quick decision in the big play. 3rd and 13, Pearl River 2 plays away from maybe finally putting this thing to rest.
Inside of 3 minutes left to go in regulation. We'll see what Scott Anderson draws up. McAfee's got all kinds of time. Now he's in trouble and throws this one at a sideline where a man is wide open. It was Jackson who gets free down inside the 10-yard line to about the 5.
Just a desperation heave. It's amazing how Mississippi Delta, I can't figure out how they're still in the ball game, and there's a flag down on the field as well. The ball is spotted at the 5-yard line, 28 yards on the absolute hope of a miracle that's pulled in by the running back, Patrick Jackson.
But when the flag flew, Kyron Norwood threw his arms in the air as if maybe it's unsportsmanlike against Pearl River. Another unsportsmanlike call. The way that Norwood reacted by throwing his arms in the air, I can't help but think that it might have been on him. If it wasn't, I owe him an apology. But I was just reading his body language there. And the way the referee's talking to him over here, it's maybe what he said. 1st and goal. Pearl River's defense has been its own worst enemy here. But it has been asked to do a lot in the second half because the offense has just really sputtered. Clock moving with 2.5 left to go. First and goal. McAfee hands it off to Jackson. Can't find anything to the left side. Comes back to the left. He's into the end zone for a Trojan touchdown.
Great job there. The Wildcats actually had that defended early, but Jackson kept it alive, came back across the grain, and they are sending the PAT unit out there for the moment. Barring a fake, they're going to go ahead and go for the tie right here with 2:21 left to go. And I think that's the right decision, Kelly. They've got all the momentum right now. Go ahead and play it out.
Spencer Romero is perfect on his kicks so far in extra points. He gets a really high, lofted kick. This one is no different, and it threads the needle. 2:21 left to go in regulation. We are tied at 21.
48 yards of penalties on that drive, Kelly. 48 yards. 4 15-yard penalties. You had 2 unsportsmanlikes, 2 pass interference penalties. One of them only was able to march half the distance. That's why it was only 48 instead of 60. But 4 penalties and a desperation just heave that was a prayer that was answered basically on a and you can't, and McAfee did what he needed to do. You can't take the sack right there. You can't run out of bounds right there. Throw it up and try to make something happen, and they did. And the Delta, I feel like I've been saying this since about the 8 to 10 minute mark of the third quarter. Pearl River's the Delta's just hung around. Pearl River has never been able to deal the knockout blow, and now we're tied at 21, and somebody now is 1 score away, barring overtime, of winning this football game.
The man that was down is Kenya Cobbs, the redshirt freshman offensive tackle. He's now up, and that certainly is good news. He's going to get some help from Big Byron Clayton to get him off the field, and he is applying weight to both feet, so that's good. While we get a chance, let's update the Anderson Design Center scoreboard. Southwest and Co-Lin are tied at 17 in the fourth quarter, 17-17. Gulf Coast has defeated Hines. It was Gulf Coast 45, Hines 24. And again, Southwest and Co-Lin tied at 17 in the fourth quarter. All of our scores brought to you by our friends at Anderson Design Center.
This game goes to overtime, Kelly. This may be the final regular season football in the Mac Jack this season, as there's only 2 games that are still in action.
Playoffs begin next weekend. Romero's kick is a high end-over-ender that will be fielded at the 15-yard line. Good job by Pearl River. Tyler Polk. Polk has got a wall. Tyler Polk has just a couple people to beat, but tackled at the 45-yard line, but Pearl River has a short field. Saving the touchdown was Jaquanzi Johnson in special teams coverage for Delta. So Pearl River, with, as far as I know, its full allotment of timeouts.
I don't think either team has used a timeout in the second half by my count, and I just checked the scoreboard agrees. So both teams with all their timeouts. There's 2:13 left, Kelly. There's plenty of time. Actually, the clock is not a factor. Just get it into field goal range, although they've had 1 block and 4 go and did not go with the field goal a moment ago. But just get it into field goal range and give yourself a chance to win this at the buzzer.
21 all. Cooper Callis at the controls. Gives it to the crafty veteran Ron Thompson, but he was hit and dropped for a loss on the play. Loss of about 2. Antonio James made the play from his linebacker position. A loss of a yard. It'll be second down and 11.
Cooper Callis has thrown for 333 yards, Kelly. You might as well put it on his right arm. That's what they've done through the entire ball game. 24 for 40 for 333. Maybe let him win it through the air.
141 and counting. Callis to the sideline. Looks at a set of signals that are live. The other ones are decoys. A small collection of Wildcat fans made the trip today. Here to Moorhead on second down. Callis wants to throw, and it gets away. Callis now lofts it down the field looking for a receiver. It is caught, but out of bounds? Yes, out of bounds.
Well, the bad news, it's incomplete. The good news is Cooper Callis. That was Eli Manning-esque right there from the Super Bowl many years ago. How did he get out of the grasp right there? Lucky that the referee didn't blow the whistle right there because it would have been nearly a 10-yard loss. At least they still have a chance here on 3rd down and 11 with 1:16 to go.
Well, we've talked many times before about when the Wildcats get behind the chains, they really put themselves in a tough position. And again, that playbook isn't very thick on 3rd and 11. There aren't a whole lot of plays you can go to here. And now the Wildcats will burn their first time out. Wildcat basketball teams will begin their season this coming Thursday night, November 1st at the White Coliseum, facing the Delgado Dolphins in a doubleheader. The women will play first at about 5 o'clock or so, and the men will play after. And the meat of the MACJC schedule will happen after Christmas, but some scattered games here in November and December. Make plans to join the Wildcats on the hardwood and on the basketball court every night at the White Coliseum. Mark your calendars to make your basketball nights at the White. 1:16 left to go here in Moorhead. We're tied at 21. The only points in the half put up by the Trojans. Pearl River had 21 in the first. It has been uncanny how the Wildcats have here or there strung a couple of good quarters together, but have difficulty putting 4 together. And the exorbitant numbers of unsportsmanlike calls have really hurt Pearl River. 3rd down and 11. Callis on a quick count, wants to throw. Can he find anybody open? Gets away from one man, comes back to the other side. He's in trouble. Still loose. Finally goes down.
And now the Delta will use a timeout because they'll get the football back with after the punt, probably about 55 seconds left, and give themselves a chance, and wouldn't be surprised if they tried to come after this punt.
So they'll talk it over. Special teams have played an important part. Romero has a good, strong leg, and you've seen it on the extra points. Really high kicks that have gone through the upright. Again, a field goal wins it. I mean, with 1:04 left to go. And what a building block it would be for either team who could emerge victorious in a game that you think they're not playing for anything, but it has turned out to be very hard fought and very heartfelt.
Well, I give the Delta a whole lot of credit. And look, you're down 21-0 at the half on the final game of the season where no playoffs are on the line. It would have been really easy to put the cleats in the locker and just play out the string. They have come out and fought with everything they had. Pearl River's had multiple chances to put them away, hasn't taken advantage of any, and now the Delta will have the football with a chance to win it.
They will not bring pressure here, though. Will Lang gets away a pretty decent punt, looking right into the sun at the 20, but no fair catch called for was Dijon Polk. He's lassoed at the 22-yard line, brought down by Colby Cole, the freshman linebacker for Pearl River. So we'll see what Delta has up its sleeve now with 57 seconds left to go. This game reeks of overtime at this point. Both teams tied at 21. Again, other Division I games today involving Mississippi schools. Southern Miss losing to Charlotte 20-17 over in Charlotte today. They'll return home next week to take on Marshall. Ole Miss has the weekend off.
Well, Delta only has 170, and that's not zero, but 177 yards of offense, Kelly, in the second half. So many penalty yards. The penalty yards have been the story that has kept the Delta in this ball game.
Mississippi State playing Texas A&M tonight at Davis Wade. 1st and 10 with an empty backfield. McAfee runs right straight up the middle, but he got smoked. Corey Jackson had a free shot at him, and he took it at the 30-yard line. Down he goes. It's a gain of 5.
And they're letting the clock run right here. And they may be satisfied to go to overtime here as they're not in any hurry for some reason.
38 seconds and counting. 2nd down, or they might try to lull the Wildcats to sleep here and crank one down the field and then call timeout and maybe kick a field goal. Be on your toes here, Wildcats. 2nd down. That's really kind of moot at this point with the clock running, 21 seconds left to go. Yeah, the give and go going nowhere, and I think you called it, Captain D. They're going to play now a timeout, but by whom?
The Wildcats. I don't agree with that, though. There's 11 seconds left to go here, Kelly. Again, maybe if you can get if the Delta runs a play here and you get a stop, you could possibly go for the block of a punt. But with only 11 seconds now, if I'm Mississippi Delta, what I do is I throw one deep down the middle of the field and see what happens. Hey, look, you've seen tip drills, you've seen crazier things that have happened. Just with 11 seconds left to go, probably would have been better off just to let the clock run out and go to overtime.
Yeah, see the Itawamba game if you want to see weird things, but almost macabre things happen in the waning seconds of a half. The first half against Itawamba.
East Mississippi. You're talking about that Hail Mary at East Mississippi.
Was that at the end of the first half?
Yeah, and then the last play of the first half.
Itawamba was the first game. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what can happen. You throw it deep, it gets tipped up, and the next thing you know, somebody's on the move.
What if they take a knee here?
Well, then it would force a punt. Still 11 seconds. See, they're going to try to run the clock as much as they can here. That's a smart play. Take it down to about 6. Now Pearl River will use its final timeout. Now, if you're the Delta, you could play this two ways. There's only 3 seconds left. You could take this snap and run backwards a couple of yards and then take a knee. Just watch the clock. But that's a little bit dangerous because if the clock operator stops it at 1, then you give up a field goal. It'll be interesting to see. I think they'll do the same thing they just did, though. They'll take the snap, they'll run to the side, and just run around long enough to get these 3 seconds off the clock.
Whatever the decision is, they'll talk it over and make sure. The punting unit is coming onto the field for the Trojans.
Yeah, and again, it depends on obviously your confidence in your team, but that long snap, it's gone over people's heads before. It's a safety wins it. I just don't know, and you can't take it and run out of the back of the end zone here. So, going to be interesting to see. Of course, if you're the punter and you make the catch and you take one step and get it away, that'll do it for regulation, and we'll head to overtime.
Well, everything has to be just right for this game not to go to overtime. It's a perfect snap, and the kick is away. It's not a very good kick.
Yeah, but that was a good move. You don't allow the kick returner to return it. You just boot it out of bounds and kill the 3 seconds.
All right, we'll set up for overtime and be back with you.
Hold everything. If they're saying there's 1 second left on the clock, I just have to disagree with that. It's kind of like a shot. There's a certain amount of time. In the NFL, actually, there's a rule that on any field goal, a minimum of 3 seconds has to run off the clock.
No, that's a
ball.
And
there it is. That's the right decision. I'm telling you, the line judge was arguing for 1 second left, but I have to agree. If it's a punt, you've got to run 3 seconds off the clock, and that's all that was left.
So we're going to overtime of the last game of the regular season for two teams battling for a win. You would think that there is a playoff spot on the line here. The way these teams are battling, we'll set you up for overtime. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching Wildcat football on prccmedia.com. At Jim Randall Stadium in Moorhead, additional football on the last game of the season as Delta and Pearl River will go overtime. The teams will flip a coin here to decide who goes first and what goal they get to defend and all those sorts of things. But Captain D set us up now for what we understand that we can expect here in overtime as far as the rules go.
Kelly, I believe the rules are the ball is going to be placed on the 10-yard line. We'll have to see here. First of all, they're going to do a coin flip, and what the coin flip is determining is who is going to have the first possession. And it's kind of like baseball. You want to bat last right here because both teams are going to get a possession right here. And when you win the coin toss, what you're going to do is you're going to say, I want to go second. I want to play defense first, and then the other team gets to choose which end zone that they go toward. You would think that actually they would probably work toward this end zone because I would imagine you would want your receivers not looking into the sun because, as you said earlier, and very astutely, that sun is getting dead into people's sight lines here. You see the long shadows as they pan back on our coverage. Look at the shadows of the people at the 50 or 15 yards down the field as that sun's starting to set. But they're going to flip the coin here. You want to go second because the first person's going to get it. They're going to try to score a touchdown. But if they don't score a touchdown and they only get a field goal, you know what you need to get to either extend the game or win the game on defense. Now, if both teams do the exact same thing, whether it's 0-0, 7-7, they'll switch where the team that had the ball second will have it first, and it'll go to double overtime until somebody finally scores a little bit more than the other team and ends the football game.
Now, what if they continue to kick extra points? Will they be forced to go to two-point conversion attempts?
I believe it's on the third overtime, if I'm not mistaken. On the third overtime, the extra point option is out. You must go for 2 at that point. And it looks like the Delta is pointing. Of course, we'll get the official. That would mean they might have lost the toss, and they're choosing which end zone they want the defense to defend here. So we're waiting on the official call from the referee, but it looks like Pearl River has won the toss, which means the Delta will most likely have the first possession of the overtime period.
I wish that the officials would make some type of, and they might still, make some type of indication that is the case.
In the NCAA, they place it on the 25, but I believe in the Mac Jack it goes to the 10, and they are walking. Let's see. Hold on. No, they are going to place it, so it is like the NCAA. So it's going to be placed on the 25-yard line. It's the same rules. There's no clock here, Kelly.
Okay, right.
Both teams will have 2 timeouts that they can use per overtime, but it's 4 downs. You get a first down, and you either kick a field goal, score a touchdown, or get turned away. The defense can intercept the ball and return it for a touchdown, and if that's the case, the ball game's over.
So at the 25-yard line, don't have to worry about the clock anymore other than the numbers of points for each team, which stands at 21. The Delta has it, 1st and 10. The Trojans have it at the 25-yard line. First overtime here. McAfee splitting Moore out to the right, lobs it toward, looking for Raheem Moore, and he catches it. And a penalty flag comes down at about the 5. It'll be
face mask on the tackle.
Right. Damian Gray, man-to-man coverage with Raheem Moore. Raheem Moore just a lot bigger than Damian.
So back shoulder throw, just letting your receiver go up and make a play. 22 yards on the reception. They'll walk it a little bit closer to the end zone. It's going to be 1st and goal from right around the 2-yard line.
So the Trojans wasted no time going on the attack. Another personal foul and a face mask against Pearl River.
The 10th personal foul against the Wildcats.
So that's that. If they were all taken, that'd be 150 yards.
Yeah, officially 133 because some of them have been like this half the distance penalty, but 133 yards of penalties, but 10 double-digit personal foul. Accepted penalties. There's been 2 others that have been offsetting.
So 1st and goal. Right at the 3. This would be look like they're going for a 2-point conversion here, although they're not.
Wildcat formation again.
It is Wildcat formation. Bad snap. Bad snap. The ball is loose. And just fall on it.
And I think the Delta came up with it.
They did.
Saved the possession.
Joseph Lakes was the man that the Wildcats were trying to do a scoop and score instead of just falling on it.
If they just fall on it, then all you have to do is kick a field goal to win the game. And now the Delta, who has a good field goal kicker, even though this is now 2nd and goal to go back at the 20, but if you just move the football up a little bit and kick a field goal, you have saved the day after that 18-yard loss.
So they get out of that Wildcat formation now and go back to the standard set with Tyreek McAfee, the quarterback, with Patrick Jackson to his right. 2nd down and goal. We are in overtime here. The first possession. McAfee throws toward the end zone, and this pass is incomplete. Down at about the 4-yard line, the intended receiver again was Raheem Moore. Ron Baker was in coverage for Pearl River. It's 3rd down and goal now.
I mean, how many times have the Pearl River, well, both offense and defense had a chance to throw that knockout blow to do. They just, I mean, I've never seen a game where a team has let someone hang around this many times with this many opportunities. Maybe they can come up with a big play right here.
Out of habit, the officials are, doing the motion for the clock to run, but there is no clock here in overtime. McAfee can't find anybody. Gets away, now throws to a man, but overthrows him down at the 5-yard line. Patrick Jackson, who had swung to the left out of the backfield, was trying to make the catch, but he overthrew him, and here comes the field goal unit.
And there's that, it's a 37-yard field goal attempt. Not an easy one coming up, but if the Wildcats just would have fallen on that football, this would not have been the case. So hopefully the Wildcats can come up with a big special teams play or get the miss. They may have to call timeout right here. They may have too many players on the field, and they do. And so they are going to have to use one of their 2 timeouts. Boy, there is a whole – I think they had 13 men on the field. There was a lot of white caps out there, so a good job by the Wildcat coaching staff to notice that and not allow them what would have amounted to basically a free shot at it. If he misses, they just would have moved it up 5 yards.
Pearl River and Delta have taken each other to the max here. A 15-round heavyweight bout that no one has won yet. Spencer Romero has the outcome of the game on his right foot, the weight of the Delta Nation on his shoulders. As this the first possession in overtime, this would put Delta ahead because remember Pearl River hasn't had the ball yet. But the Wildcats will know here shortly, one way or another, what they've got to do on their possession. From the right hash mark, Spencer Romero, the freshman place kicker, who has been brilliant on all of his extra points today. And Pearl River jumped off sides. The Wildcats appeared to jump off, and this will put him 5 yards closer. Another unforced error by Pearl River.
15th accepted penalty against the Wildcats. And I keep couching that with accepted. There's been at least a half a dozen more. This is one where Coach Ted Egger, if he doesn't get the win, he's going to have so many different moments to look back on and say that biggest 2-letter word in the dictionary, if this, if that. There's been 50 of those in this ball game, it seems like.
The saddest words of tongue or pen are the immortal words what might have been, but this game's still not out of reach for Pearl River. This makes it a 32-yard attempt now for Spencer Romero to put the Trojans ahead. The placement's down, it's blocked! The Wildcats have tipped the ball. All the Pearl River has to do now, all, in capital letters, and underlined 3 times, is kick a field goal to win this game. The Wildcats special teams, which have been maligned throughout the year, but come up with a big tip of the ball there. Romero couldn't get it up quite high enough.
Both of these kickers came in just one miss shy of being 50-50. Will Lane came in 4 for 7. He's missed and had one blocked. He's 4 for 8. Romero is now 3 for 6. So you have two 50% field goal kickers who you're relying on to possibly win this ball game.
Janarius Johnson may have gotten a hand on it. It definitely came from the middle of the line. Cooper Callis will run it himself. Callis only gets about 2 yards on the play. No need to worry about the clock. There is no such thing. We are in overtime. All Pearl River has to do is find some way to score any points. Otherwise, we are headed to the second overtime. Pearl River put up 21 in the first half. Delta 21 in the second. Callis on the give and go to Ron Thompson. Thompson to the near side, cuts it up, hangs on to the ball, but gets down to about the 14-yard line.
Kelly, you saw what I saw. That ball came loose, and he had to, like a receiver, had to reach back up and bring it in. But it's a 9-yard pickup. It's a first down, so the Wildcats have 3 more downs to get it closer for a possible field goal attempt.
Again, no clock here. The Wildcats would love to score the touchdown and leave no doubt. Looking at the left side of the line, you got big Ivory Scott, the sophomore, looking to win his last game as a Wildcat. Again to Thompson. Again, nowhere to go. He is wrapped up by Tyrese Wells from his defensive end position. Second down and 10.
The Wildcats look more than content to try the field goal, to be quite honest with you, because they don't have any inclination to put the ball in the air right here. But remember, earlier the Wildcats did have an a field goal blocked back in the third quarter.
And the Trojans, you know that the Wildcats, when running it, will keep it to the middle part of the field to let Will Lang be set for a middle of the field kick. Second down and 10. Callis throws to the sideline. It's caught, and getting down to about the 6-yard line is Hayden Bryce.
One catch for 5 yards in the ball game, and in the most critical of moments, not only does he make the catch, Kelly, somehow he avoids that sandwich and falls forward. That actually was a pickup of 8.
Third down and about 3 for Pearl River. They can get another first down without scoring, and we've got a penalty flag down, and we've got a false start on the Wildcats. But there was no start, so illegal procedure. Boy, the Wildcats have been beating themselves up with penalties.
16 for 143.
143 yards in penalties. Third down and 9. Callis, will he throw? Wants to. Across the middle. He's got a man at the end zone, but tipped away at the last minute. Antonio Boyd saw that they were going to go to Tyler Polk, and he knocked it away.
Kelly, that was a spectacular defensive play. I mean, that was a 10 out of 10. I know you saw what I saw. That looked like it was going to work to perfection. It was going to be caught in the end zone, and this game was over. Boyd, with literally his fingernails, able to knock it away and at least make